Beep. A bus started down the road. Its horn blaring frantically. Its horn blaring frantically. First swerving left, hard to the right. Whoever drove it had clearly lost control of the vehicle. The speed it accumulated several lanes in the road before forcing its way up onto the other drivers on the road frantically stopped their cars. The bus came to an abrupt halt. The bus crossed several lanes in the road, which promptly fell down its way up onto the people nearby got out of their cars and started gathering. The bus came to an abrupt halt as it slammed. The doors of the bus opened, with the passengers inside spilling out with a panic look. The people nearby got out of their cars and started gathering around the now wrecked bus. The doors of the bus opened with the passengers inside spilling out with a panic look. A bus driver by the name of Han passed away. He was 45 come amidst the on the day of his death. The driver's dying your regrets the 3rd of October 2031. It was the first thing on Maru's mind. A bus driver by the name of Han Maru. He heard the sound of waves crashing against the beach near him. A cool breeze washed over his face. What were your regrets to look around? It was the first thing on Maris's mind. I was just about to wake his eyes. A voice of a sound came up from behind him, confusing him even more. Maru understood his situation. A cool breeze washed over his face as he sat up to look around. So I died. Where was he? Maru confirmed. You're awake. The woman was just about to wake you up. Yes, you did. A voice of a woman started walking from behind him, fairly confusing him even more. Maru paced himself a little bit faster than usual to try and keep up. After around a minute to know exactly what he was confused parasol and the entire beach. The woman motioned onto the chair underneath. Just think. Sit. Maru understood his situation. The woman, as soon as he heard sitting down on a chair herself. He found himself being quite amazed by his realization on the 3rd of October, but immediately 11 hours, 23 minutes, and 14 seconds. I died. Do you remember how you died? Maru recalled the event almost as if it were a distant memory. The woman simply affirmed he was driving the bus to its final stop. Yes, just then something came flying down the road. Are you an angel? Making a beeline towards him with a curious look. It broke through the front window. The woman slamming into his chest before falling down next to his seat. Sort of. Were the passengers safe? Call me an angel? He asked. Others, thanks to Grim Reaper. Yes, everyone. Titles aren't very important. If you had given up halfway, what I'm about to say now into a truck and killed everyone. The woman started walking forward with fairly wide steps. Maru paced himself a little bit faster than usual. At that moment, an old lady in white traditional attire walked out from behind the woman. They came across the sole parasol. She was his neighbor, Mrs. Yu. The woman, Mrs. Yu, decided to give her chance to you, Mr. Hen. The woman said. The old lady walked over to gently grip Maru's hands. I lived fairly happily thanks to you. I'm grateful for the fact that you cared for me more than my children. Mr. Han didn't do it because he died precisely on the 3rd of October. He just wanted to see the lady smile every once in a while. 3 You're saying I can live my life again. Do you remember how you died? He asked surprisingly enough. The woman affirmed instead from the side. Remember it. Yes, she said. Yes. Maru shook his head firmly in refusal. Maru recalled the event almost as if it were a distant memory. The old lady cut him off in the middle of a sentence. He was driving the bus to its final stop. I'm not interested in living my life again. It was horrible. Something came flying down the road. I do not want to experience war again. Making a beeline. I don't want to live a life where I have to run away all the time again. Slamming. This is much better for before falling down. All my friends are with me up in heaven. If you remembered correctly, the lady smiled gently. It was something that resembled a hammerhead. But you're different. He felt his breathing weakening. You're still young. Followed by gradual loss just like that. Motor control. The lady gripped Maru's hand a little tighter. Consider this a gift for talking with me all the time, Mother. Maru didn't know what to say. Please accept this chance for me. With that, the lady faded away from view. And then nothing. Maru just turned to look at the woman. He found himself at this place. There are a few restrictions, of course. This led to one question. Your memories won't be complete. So you can win lotteries with your memories. He asked. Can I really begin again? Thanks to you. The woman nodded in confirmation. Everyone survived. Maru started to ponder. If you had given up halfway, you would have run right into a truck and killed everyone. The choice to meet her again is up to you, of course. That made Maru feel a little bit better. You'll also get a few abilities going in. He may have saved others. What sort of abilities? The woman didn't seem to want to answer his question. Who would take care of his wife and daughter? Consider it a gift for making many people happy. Now that was when he remembered his life from Mrs. Yu, who just went back up to him. Should be able to someone who spread around unspeakable amount of kindness to the world as she lived. The woman smiled. That's why I offered her to live again. Though that gift has now been given to you. The woman extended her hand towards him. There was a small pill sitting in her palm. I was never able to do this. You'll be able to go back to your teenage years. By the first year of high school, Maru wiped a tear from his eye. You'd be able to know a bit more when you wake up. The woman asked. Maru received the pill. Yes. He responded. The woman was smiling towards him. Would you like to live your life again? Please don't be so giving in this life. Maru became speechless. It did good that you tried to make others happy. What? But you sacrificed so much. At that moment, an old lady in white traditional attire walked out from behind the woman. I don't think about other people. This lady very well. He looked at the pill one last time. The one who made a wrinkled hand appeared from somewhere and pushed the pill into his mouth. You bought it. When Maru looked back in surprise, that was the visage of the old lady smiling greeted him. Please have fun this time. With that, Maru lost his consciousness again, and Han Maru realized that such a dream has become a reality for you, Mister. He could hear the computer humming silently behind him. He noticed a little list smacked onto the woman was only managing to confuse him more by the graduated middle school. The chance to live once more. The woman said. That explanation didn't really help his temples with his thumbs. The old lady walked over to gently grip Maru's hands. Messy clothes I lived fairly happily thanks to you. That pile of comic books I'm grateful for the fact that old book from the library more than my children. Maru tried fumbling around a bit under his pillow. Maru looked down at the lady's wrinkled hands. His phone. He used to help her out whenever he saw her carry around that of leaving his phone next to or below his pillow. He didn't do it high school because he expected anything himself. Maru slid open the unfamiliar phone in his hand. So time like this. Maru realized. Maru recalled the words of the woman from a while back about how his memories would be incomplete. He could recall most things from his life back when he was 45. She said. Maru looked up at the ceiling. His head firmly. So I really am back. You shouldn't, Mother woke up as she turned off the alarm from her phone. Her husband was away on the night shift. I'm not interested in living my life and walked out into the kitchen. It was horrible. I don't want Today was the day when Maru and Bada would start school again. I don't want to live a life where I have to run away all the time in a new classroom. This is much better. She thought of her two sleeping children as she took the pre-soaked rice from the night before. The lady and put it on the rice cooker. Right then, Maru walked out of his room without any signs of fatigue. You're still young. You're awake, I couldn't bear to see you go just like that. Why was he sounding so polite? All of a sudden, a little tighter. Sunji stared at him for a second in surprise. A gift for talking with me all the time. Maru immediately spoke a lot more casually as he turned in nervousness. Please accept this chance from me. I have to make breakfast. With that, the lady faded away from view. She asked. I think I just turned to look at the woman in a daze. Go wash up. There are a few while before the food finishes. Yes, she explained. I mean, your memories won't be complete, curious look as so you can't win lotteries with your memories. Maru muttered to himself. Can I really begin again? He washed his face. The woman nodded in confirmation. He found himself smiling when he realized it took more than 20 seconds for the water to heat up. What would it be like to live his life that really made him realize he was back in the past? A question popped up in his head. Maru walked out of the bathroom to discover his mom making some soup. Need help? You can meet your current wife. Looking at her cook all the food made him want to help out a little. The choice to meet her again is up to you, of course. Stuff like this won't actually make me give you a larger allowance. You will also get a few abilities going in. Because I'm your mom. What sort of abilities? A Gabrielese that appear and trying to hold in his laughter. Or abilities in the sense that he could cook better than others. Very extracts. The woman didn't seem to forgot how much answer his question this time. His mom looked at him with a surprised face when he started mixing some of the syrup with water. It's also something I thought you hated stuff like who just went back up to heaven. Did I? He asked. At this point, you always asked for soda instead. Wondering just who Mrs. U was. My taste for the first time. Changed. What kind of a lady was she up in heaven that let her give another sip of the drink? Again, the woman seemed to have read his thoughts. Go wake Bada up. She's someone who spread around unspeakable. It was already 7 a.m. to the world as she lived. Don't kick her again. That's why I offered her to live again. Maru waved her off casually as he entered his sister's room. The woman extended her hand. The girl was curled up in her blankets like a caterpillar. There was a small pill sitting in her palm. We never talked after that point. If you eat this, you'll be able to go back to your teenage years by that first year of high school, she answered. He immediately felt bad about doing it, but he could change his habits so easily right away. Just a few friends he still kept in contact with of high school. Maybe, after around 2 decades. Bada glared at Maru. Most of his memories from that time had become her head back into the pillow. You'll be able to know a bit more when you wake up, but decided to just lean over to her face instead. Wake up. It in morning. The woman was smiling towards him. Maru took a close look at his sister. Please don't be so giving in this life. So this was what she looked like. It's good that you tried to make others happy, but you sacrificed so much doing it. Maru poked the girl and smiled faintly. He couldn't resist. I don't think about other people that much. Ah, damn it. He looked at the pill poking me too. He wasn't so sure if he really wanted to go back to his time before the girl got any louder. Her bad temper was the only thing that stayed constant. A wrinkled hand appeared from somewhere and pushed the pill sat down on the table as Bada walked out with back in surprise. The visage of the old lady smiling, she complained him. Wake up on time. Please have fun this time. With ease. With that, knowing that she could beat mom in an argument, just headed to the bathroom. Many people think to themselves, "You kicked her again, didn't you?" If only I could go back to that time. By the time they recover from all of their entrance exams, why can't they have to start worrying about getting a job? You used to walk around. Once they find a job and settle down back in the day, they have to deal with pressure from their bosses. Maru tried looking back in his memories. When they finally move up, did that really happen? To catch their breath, he could somewhat remember himself walking around town with his sister. If they knew it would be this hard, they used to go to arcades and go to the mountains together. Then what is it? Why didn't they try harder back then? I just remember something. Why did they make that decision? He paused for a second as if he was still thinking about it. Millions. You know, when I lost maybe even tens of millions of people look back on their past with some regret. You cried a lot back then, and Hanmaru realized that such a dream has become a reality for him. Anyway, he could hear the computer humming silently. You got your bag right? Don't they get on your teacher a bad side? But the fans of the main tower make some new friends too. You only get your real friends. He noticed a little list. I know, I'm not a kid, you know? Resolutions he made as he graduated. Don't I hang out with weirdos? Okay, Ivy back. He sat up as he massaged his temples. Mom and goodbyes never really changed. He could feel the heat of the electric blanket gather straight onto his butt. Grandfather passed from a car accident. Maru let out a small laugh. Maru opened the door and stepped out. These messy clothes, the cold air all around whipped across his face. That pile of comic books in the corner, getting a little warmer, and that old book from the library that he never actually got around to reading, and unlocked his bike from the stand. That half-eaten bag of chips from last night next to his bike, armed with a simple his new bag sitting right next to the bike and started pedaling. Maru tread fumbling. The air between his fingers felt frigid, but even this made him want to shout in joy. His phone. It was a habit that never went away, even until the moment
an image of
Mrs.
Yu
flashed over
after stepping on
his phone the first thing in the morning.
He built the habit of leaving his phone next to or below his pillow
whenever he
went to sleep.
stopped at a crossing
First
for a
year of
second
high
to take
school,
out his
was it?
MP3. He mumbled to himself.
It had been a long while since
Maru
he'd seen
slid
one.
open the
He plugged the
unfamiliar
earphones
phone
into
in
his
his
jack
hand and started listening.
Right.
Most
This
were
was
songs
what
from
phones
singers
looked like
in the early
around this time.
2000s. But in a
This is
little
good
while,
stuff.
what
He
found
was it?
himself muttering.
At least
Again,
it was
he
far
remembered
better than
that
those
phones
so-called
changed in
K-pop
design
songs with English
but he
mixed
couldn't
all
quite
over the
remember
place.
how it changed.
He
So
much
it's
rather
like
preferred
this.
listening to songs he could
Maru
actually
realized.
understand.
Maru recalled
Maru
the
stepped
words
on the
of
pedal as
woman
he
sang
sang a
along
while
to
back
some of the lyrics
about how
the
his
love
memories
I have for
would
you
be incomplete.
After around 30
He couldn't
minutes of
recall
pedaling,
most things
he
from
could see
his
the school
life
coming
back
into view
when he was
that still looks the
45.
same. As a matter
Then
of
again,
fact,
it would be strange
he
if
could
it did.
remember more about the food he ate
A rectangular
yesterday
complex
more
made
clearly.
with brownish bricks
Pooper,
right in front of the building
Bigfoot,
was a small
Dick
podium
Lord,
meant for the principal.
Salmon,
The
guy,
field in front
he
of the
could
podium
remember
was
the
a little larger
nicknames
than
of
your
his
average
middle school
schoolie.
friends as
There
clear
was
as
even a
day.
basketball court in the
The
right
only
corner
thing
of
he
the
could
school.
remember
And
from
for
when
whatever
he was
reason, they even
45
had a little
was the
pavilion
fact that
next
his
to it
bus
as well.
number was
Around
32.
there was also a small
He couldn't
water
remember
fountain.
the name of the
Maru
company,
walked
though.
over to the main
Maybe
entrance.
this was why he didn't
found
feel so
more and more
confused when he
students
woke
around
up.
him in their personal
His
clothes.
previous life's memory
He
didn't
too was in
conflict with his
casual
current
wear
one
as well.
very much.
As he neared the
It felt like
entrance,
he just
started
woke up
feeling a
after
strange
very
sense of
long
nostalgia
dream.
and fear
A
creep up
dream
from
he
inside
couldn't
him.
recall
He
so
could
well
see a
after
familiar
waking
face
up.
standing in front of him.
There
The
were a few
disciplinary
things he
teacher
could remember for sure.
The Baltier was standing in front of the door
Though the
with the
fact
scissor
that he
in
had a
hand.
daughter who
Maru
would get a
found
minor
himself
seizure
clicking his
every
tongue
time
he
she
smelled his
disapproval.
foot. He had bad
And the
memories
fact
of getting
that he
his
had a
hair cut
wife
by
that
those
was
scissors.
kind enough to
Come
love
on,
him.
faster.
He could remember his family.
Hey, you! What
Maru
that on your
looked up
hair?
at the ceiling.
One of the boys got caught
So
by the
I
teacher.
really am back.
The boy didn't
the
seem like a
Suji.
first year. He
Mara's
waddled
mother
over
woke up
nervously in front of the
turned
teacher.
off the alarm from her
Wax.
phone.
Her
Trying
husband
to
was
look
away
cool
on
on
the
your
night
first day.
shift. The teacher glared. She
I'm
folded
sorry,
her sheets,
the kid mumbled,
and walked
3
out
laps
into
around
the
the
kitchen
field
and come back to me.
Got it.
Today
Yes,
was
sir.
the day
I'm
when
going
Maru
light on
and
you
Bada
since
would
it's
start
first day,
school
all
again.
right?
Maru
Yes, sir.
in a new school.
The boy threw
Bada
down
in
his
a new
bag and started
classroom.
running.
She thought of her
Maru
two
passed by
sleeping
the
children
teacher
as she
observed
observed
the
the
scene.
pre-soaked rice
After
from
locking
the
up his
night before,
bike
and
Maru
put it on
walked
the
up to
rice
the second
cooker.
floor where
Right
his class
then, Maru
was.
walked out of his
He
room
walked into
without
class
any
2
signs
for
of
electrical
fatigue.
engineering with a sense of
You're
nostalgia.
awake, Maru scanned the
he
room
said.
quickly before going back
What?
to his own thing.
Why was he
Though,
sounding so
that thing
polite?
only really
All of
consisted
the
of
sudden,
reading manga and listening to
Sunji
music.
stared at him for a
Really,
second
he decided
in
to sit in the
surprise.
middle of the class.
Ah,
So I
you're
really
up.
am starting over, he realized.
Maru immediately
Even
spoke
so,
a lot more
Maru
casually
tried his
as he
best to
turned in
remember his wife and
nervousness.
daughter. Since the
Of
woman had
course
told
I
him
am.
he could
I have
remember
to
a
make
few key
breakfast.
things, he didn't worry
Why
about
are
it
you
too
up
much.
so early?
As he thought a bit about the past and
I
the future,
think I just
he could
got
hear a few
nervous,
kids talking
he
next to him.
confessed.
Did he check you too?
Sunji
One of them
wondered
said,
what happened to
check.
the boy for him
Oh,
to
you
try
mean
to
having to
be
take my
so
shirt off?
polite.
Ah, so you got
Was
it
he
too.
trying
I
to
was pretty
change
scared,
how he
to
spoke
be honest.
since he
The guy
was
next to
now
me had a
high
tattoo
schooler?
on him. You smoke.
She was
By
as
the way,
humored as she
to
was
me, hell yeah.
prideful.
Go
God
wash
damn.
up.
Let
It'll
your
be
be
a while
friends.
before the food
You got one on
finishes.
you right now?
Maru
Yes,
grinned
I
as he
mean,
listened to
sure.
the conversation. He
Sunji
recalled
wore a
seeing something
curious
similar
look
to
as
this
he
in his
entered the
memories
bathroom.
surprisingly well. One of the
How
kids brought a
awkward.
pack of cigarettes to
Maru
class on
muttered
the
to
second
himself
day and
quietly.
ended up getting hit by the teacher.
His memories were mostly
Rinchok,
gone.
That
but he
must
did
be
still
being
remember
him.
a few
One by
things.
one, more kids started
It
flooding
felt
into
a little
the
strange to
classroom.
talk
A tall
with his
guy,
mother with
a
such
short
a
guy,
casual tone.
a big guy.
Though when
a small
did he
guy.
decide to treat
Ones
her
with
more
glasses,
respectfully
ones
again?
without, handsome ones,
I think
and ugly
around the
ones.
time
You
when I first
bastards
got my
just don't
check.
change.
Huh.
Do you?
He
He
found
could see the
himself
faces of his
speaking
old
more
friends
politely
match up
to
with
his
their younger
parents when he
counterparts.
realized how difficult
Maru
it
put
was
his
to
earphones back
actually
on,
live in a
imagining that
society.
they'd be
Mother,
friends again
Mom,
in the future.
Father,
Quick,
Dad.
quack. Maru
The old
found
door
himself
opened with a
growing
start,
accustomed
and in
to
walked a
speaking
person
like
who
this
looked to be in his
faster
early
than he had
40s.
thought, with a cue stick in
All right,
hand. Nice to
perfect.
meet you. He washed his
I'm
face
Kim
in hair.
Chung-sik.
Your
He
damn
found
homeroom
himself
teacher.
smiling when he
I teach
realized
digital
it took
theory
more
in
than
this
20
school.
seconds
I'm
for the water
42
to
married
heat up.
and have a
It
son
was
in
stuff
middle
like
school
this
right
that
now.
really made him
What I
realize
like
he
is
was
silence.
back in the past.
What I hate is a
Maru
disobedient
walked out of
student.
the bathroom
The
to
end.
discover his
No
mom
one has any
making
questions,
some soup.
right?
The
They could
teacher banged
understand
the
now
podium
why
with his
moms
stick,
were able to
causing the
wake up
students
so
to
early
flinch a
to
little.
cook
Now
breakfast
I've
all
call
the
out
time.
attendance.
They
So
simply
sit down
wanted their
accordingly.
children
and have
Number
a good
1.
day.
No
Park
more,
Wooken.
no
When
less.
Wooken
Need
stood
help.
up with a confused look,
Looking at her
the teacher
cook,
stabbed
all
his
the
shoulder
food,
lightly with his cue
made him
stick.
want to help out a little.
I told you to respond.
I'm good.
Don't not make
You know
me say
stuff
this
like
twice.
this want.
You
Actually
get to know
make
more
me
about
give
your
you a
teachers
larger
as you go
allowance.
to this
Right,
school.
how do you know?
Your seniors
Because
often call
I'm your
me
mom,
son of a
she
bitch,
answered in
I'm
an
actually
obvious
quite
tone.
fond of that nickname.
Maru,
Why do I
opened the
like
fridge,
it?
trying to
Because I
hold
can
in
really
his
act like
laughter.
a rabid dog.
He could see
So
Dad's
watch
beer
yourselves
and
if you
Mom's
don't
plum
want to get
and
hurt.
raspberry
Number
extracts
40,
inside.
Hanmaru.
He
Yes,
forgot how much he
Maru,
missed
as
seeing
in the
this.
floor or something.
His mom looked
It
at him with a
surprised
surprised
face
face
when
when
he
he
started mixing
Is
some
that
of the
so?
syrup with
Anyway,
water to
go
drink.
sit at the back.
I thought
Maru
you
sat
hated
at the
stuff
end
like
of the
this,
fourth
she
row.
said.
The class door
Did
opened
I?
as
He
the
asked
teacher was
back.
looking over the classroom.
You always ask for soda.
It looked like another
instead,
teacher
whenever I
had come to
made
talk
you
to him.
one.
The man
Oh,
pointed
right,
his stick
he
at the
did.
class with a warning
He used to
gaze.
hate how it made
I'd be
warm
back
water
soon,
taste
so be
weirdly
quiet.
sweet
You won't
and
have any
sour.
fun on your first day of
He
school
decided
if I
to
hear
make
you
up a
talking
quick
outside.
excuse
I promise.
to cover it up.
The kids all sighed in collective annoyance
My
as soon as
taste
the teacher got
probably
out
changed.
a wow.
Holy
Maru
shit, dude.
silently
We
exclaimed
got
in
caught by a
joy
real
as he
old
took another
bastard,
sip
didn't
of
we?
the drink.
God damn it. I wanted a
He
female
couldn't
teacher,
really
too.
explain it.
A boy next
But
to
this
him.
syrup stuff was
Said
really
Maru
good for
turned
men,
to
he
look.
felt.
The boy name was
Oh
Handoji.
dear, with him
Look at the
having
time
the same
already.
last name.
Go wake
The
the
two
two
of them
were
were
sitting
sitting
right
right
next to each other.
It was already
Well,
7 to
female
00
male,
a.m.
potato,
About time to
same
start
thing.
getting ready for
Maru
school.
said. Sure, don't kick her down next to his desk. You don't know Jack.
I know.
Female teachers hit
waved
lighter.
her off
Didn't you
casually
see
as
that
he
huge
entered
stick
his
the teacher
sister's
was
room.
holding? The girl was curled up in her blankets like a caterpillar.
Dojin shuddered in horror.
Come to
with
think
an
of it,
exaggerated
we
look.
never talked
Dojin,
after that
was it?
point,
Maru
thought.
confirmed.
His sister went through a divorce once
right,
in the
weird
future.
name.
I like
was a
it.
common
It one of
occurrence
those
back
names you
then.
don't forget.
True
But
that.
had never
What
imagined
y'all
his
listening
own
to, by
sister
the
to
way?
go through
Dojin
it.
asked,
He
pointing
used
at
to
Maru
meet up
and
with his
MP3.
sister every
Just
once in a
somehow,
while
Maru
and watch
answered.
movies
Let me
together back
listen.
in college.
The boy extended
But they
his hand
stopped talking
towards
after
Maru,
his
who
sister
smiled a
started
little
living
and
on
handed
her
it
own.
over.
Oh,
Had
just
this song
maybe
getting
see her
good.
face at family
Dojin
gatherings.
started moving to the beat of
He
the
didn't
music.
have a bad
Right
relationship.
then, the door
with her,
opened and
but
the
it wasn't
teacher
great
walked in.
either.
Aye.
Just average, he supposed.
The manicure stick
She
pointed
just
towards
completely
Dojin.
disappeared after her
Unfortunately,
divorce.
the boy was unable
she
to hear
would
the
call
teacher.
family whenever
Maru
a family
slapped Dojin's
gathering
shoulder.
happened.
The
The
last
boy
he heard
pulled the
about his
earphones
sister
out
was
frantically
when his
upon
mother
opening
told
his
him
eyes.
about how she was
What
meeting
did I
a
say
new
about
man.
MP3s
Maru
again?
hesitated
The
for a
teacher said.
second when he thought about
Yet
what
to
he would
Dojin
call his
just
sister.
opened his lips in
His
surprise without saying
45-year-old
anything.
self would just refer
Give it
to
to
her
me, you
as
bastard.
you most of
Oh
the
my,
time.
but
I'm
the
sorry,
me of
sir.
now.
I won't
For the
do it
Maru
again.
of the freshman
Look
year
at
of
you,
high school.
talking back
He could
now?
only
The
recall
teacher
a
just
single
started
name.
poking at Dojin's
Fatty,
shoulder with his
he
stick.
said.
Dojin
Dojin
shoulder
kicked the
got
girl's
pushed
foot
back
lightly,
and the boy in
He
face
immediately
scrunched
felt
up into
bad
a frown
about
as
doing
well.
it,
But
he
he turned
couldn't
to look
change
at
his
Maru
habits so easily
Maru
right
just
away.
nodded in understanding.
That's right.
And gestured
This
towards
was the
teacher.
Maru of high school.
Here.
Ah, what the
Bring
hell?
me a letter from your
Bada
parents if you
glared
want
at
this
Maru
back,
with
all right?
half-opened eyes.
The teacher
Before
returned
burying
to the
her
podium
head
back into
just
the
a
floor.
forward.
We
We
thought
don't
about
want the
kicking
teacher
her
noticing
again,
us
but
again.
decided to just
Dojin
lean
nodded
over
in
to her
response.
face
Right.
instead. Then
Wake up.
I was a little
It's
worried
morning.
because of his
Ah,
appearance.
damn it.
He seems like a
Maru
good guy,
took a
though.
close
Thank
look
goodness.
at his sister's
Maru
face.
saw something
So
strange
this was
floating
what she
above
looked
Dojin's
like.
head.
What
He
the
couldn't
heck is
remember
that?
his sister's
Maru
future
for a
face
second saw
very
that.
well. Above
Maru
Dojin
poked
and
the
face,
girl's
he blinked a
forehead.
few
He
times,
couldn't
thinking that he
resist.
was just
She just
imagining
looked
things.
cute.
But it just didn't go
damn
away.
it.
Now
A
you're
word
poking
bubble.
me too.
A pink bubble was
Bada
floating
stood
above
up
Dojin
as she
head.
shouted angrily. Maru looked
Maru
at Dojin
escaped
again
before the girl
but
got
the
any
word
louder.
bubble,
Her
what there
bad
anymore?
temper was the
Does
only
it have
thing
some
that
sort of a
stayed
requirement?
constant throughout that
The
girl's
bubble
life.
disappeared in an instant.
That must
Let
be
them have a
it.
decent
That was
one
the
year
reason
together.
behind her divorce,
You hear?
wasn't it?
The teacher
said
said.
as he
I was
ran
just
away.
going to listen to it
Maru
for a
sat
second.
down on the
Dojin
table
immediately
as
gave
Bada
his
walked out
apologies.
with a sour
He seemed to
look.
be fairly sensitive to stuff
Mom,
like this.
he
He was a
keeps
guy
hitting
who
me,
knew
she
to be
complained.
sorry. Wake
That
up on
made Maru
time
pretty
then.
happy.
Mom
Honestly.
retorted with ease.
Compared to all the others he had to deal
Bada,
with in the
knowing that
past,
she couldn't
Dojin
beat
was a
Mom
saint.
in
Don't
an
think worry
argument.
about it.
He
Just
will give
headed
it back
to the
in a few
bathroom
days,
with a
Maru
pout.
said. You
Right,
kicked
he
her
should give it
again,
back.
didn't you?
Right?
If
She
he does,
asked.
I might as well
Nope,
just buy
of
another
course.
one. It isn't
He denied
too
it.
expensive anyway.
It didn't really work though.
Hey, why can't
It
you be more
is.
friendly with her? I thought that was
You
a
used
new
to walk
model.
around
The ones that
everywhere
are
with her
like
hand in yours
250,000
back in
a
the day.
day. I did. Maru ended
Maru
up
tried
smiling
looking
a
back
little
in
in
his
surprise.
memories.
He was
Did
a
that
high
really
schooler.
happen?
Right now, play
Because some would remember himself
MP3s
walking around
were currently
town
the
with
new
his
hot
sister's
thing,
hand in
making
his.
them quite expensive.
They used to
that
go to
MP3
arcades
just
and
now
go
was
into
something
the
his parents had
mountains
gotten him as a
together.
graduation gift.
And then
He
I
didn't
ended up
find
losing
I'd
her
get it
once.
back. Maru ended up
quickly changed
smiling
his
when he
stance.
remembered the memory.
What
Yeah,
is it, Mom
is your
asked.
family rich?
It's nothing.
By the way,
I
I
just
just
remembered
remembered
something
something
old.
I'm gonna die
He
if I
paused
don't
for a
get
second
it back.
as
if he was still thinking
Right.
about it.
Ah, crap.
You know, when I
I'm
lost
so sorry.
Bada. Then she seemed
You
to
don't
remember
not have
as
to be
well.
so sorry
You
between
cried a
friends,
lot
you know.
back then since you couldn't find
Friends
her at all.
Maru felt good just
I did.
saying it.
Of
He
course
had
you
said
did.
the word in a very
Anyway,
long time.
the
Here,
type of friends you
have
can meet
some
at
food
any time
before you
and
go.
call at any time.
You got your
for
bag
no
right?
reason at all. Maru
Friend.
nodded in
Yeah,
affirmation.
we friend.
Don't get on your teacher's
Dodging
bad
bumped
side.
into Maru
lightly
All
with
right.
a big grin on
Make
his
some
face.
new friends,
with
too.
his friendliness.
You only
the
get
boy
your
could
real
probably
friends in
end
high
up being
school.
friends with everyone
I
in the
know.
class in
I
just a
know.
week.
I'm not
The
a
two of them
kid.
talked for
You
a
know,
bit while
of
waiting for
course
the
you
Korean
are.
teacher.
Don't
Their
hang out with
conversation naturally
weirdos.
moved on to video
Okay.
games.
Maru
and the
too
two realized
realized
they
smile.
actually played
She
the
was
same
right.
MMO together.
Right now,
the spout
he was
turned
just
up
a
a
kid.
notch when they had a
They'll be
definite topic
back.
to talk about.
Be careful of cars.
Mom
Mahila.
goodbyes never really changed.
We should play
Be
around
careful
together
of cars.
sometime.
The
She
Korean
started,
teacher that walked
saying
in
it
had a
after
bit of a
Mars.
square jaw with
Grandfather
long wavy
passed
hair.
from a
He
car looked a bit peculiar, to be
Maru
honest.
opened the door and
Nice
stepped
to meet
out.
you.
The cold air of the morning,
and I'd be
across
teaching
his
you kids
face.
literature for the
It
next
was
year.
March getting a
I
little
know none of
warmer,
you will
but
bother
still
remembering my
closer
name
to
anyway.
winter than
So just
spring.
call me
Maru
literature.
walked down to the first
Teach.
floor and unlocked
The man
his
leaned
bike
over the
from
podium
stand.
as he scanned the classroom.
Haven't seen this baby
Unlike
in a
with his
while.
homeroom teacher,
A casual
Maru
bike
could
armed
help but
with a
grin
simple
when he
shift.
saw this teacher.
Maru
He must have
hopped
had
onto the
many
bike
good
and
memories
started
with this person.
pedaling.
You're
The
a
air
bit
between
disappointed,
his
aren't you?
fingers felt
Since
frigid.
there are no girls
But
here.
even
No
this
one
made
answered.
him want to shout
It
in
was the
joy.
first day
I'm
after
really
all.
back, he muttered.
And it wasn't
an image
like
of
Maru
Mrs.
was a
Yu
social
flashed
type
over
either.
his vision
Plus,
for a
the
split
teacher
second.
actually felt quite a bit
Thank you
younger
for
than
giving
him,
me this
making
chance,
him
he
hesitant.
prayed.
Tell
In
me,
thanks,
you
Maru
guys are
stopped
disappointed because there are
crossing
no
for a
girls in
second
your
to
class,
take out his
right?
MP3.
Yes.
It's been a
few
long
of the
while
kids
since
responded
he's
with a
seen
smile.
one. He plugged
I
the
do feel
earphones
for you
into
a
the
little.
jack and started
Spending your
listening.
youth in a classroom
Most were
that smells
songs
like
from
sweat
singers
for a
in the
year.
early 2000s.
What a waste.
Why did you guys
This is
choose
good
electrical
stuff.
engineering to begin
He
with?
found himself
Should have
muttering.
gone to art or design.
At least
Those
it
are
was
pretty
far
much
better
half
than
boys and
those
half girls.
so-called key
Really?
pop songs.
No girls at all, Element?
With English
More of the
mixed all
students were
over the
talking
place.
now.
Of
He much
course
rather
not.
preferred listening to
Unfortunately,
songs he
told
could
you.
actually
The
understand.
only thing waiting for
Maru
you
stepped on
in
the
the
pedal
near
as he
future
sang
aren't
along
flowers.
to some of the
It'd
lyrics.
be just sweat.
The love I have for you after
that
around 30
why
minutes
you
of
kids
pedaling.
need to be
You could see the
especially
school
careful
coming
in
into
choosing
view.
your clubs.
That still
If you
looks
end
the
up going
same.
into sports,
Then again,
you aren't going
it
to have
would
a
be
chance at
strange
seeing
if it
women
didn't.
at all for all 3
Huh?
years.
A rectangular
Right then,
complex
one of
made
the
with
more
playful
playful-looking
bricks
kids
right
raised
in
their
front of the
hand.
building was a
So what are
small
the clubs
podium
with the
meant
most
for
girls in them?
principal.
Good
The
question.
field in front of the
People
podium
need
was
to
a
know
little
how to
larger
ask
than your
questions like
average
these.
schools.
If they want to
There was
live
even
an
a
easy
basketball
life,
court
applaud
in the
him.
right corner of the
Guys,
school.
clap and for whatever reason they even had a little pavilion next to it as well. Recreational. Around there was also a small water fountain, as well clubs with girls. Maru would often get water from there during the Manga Club. They have a few girls there to the main entrance. Also, he found more and more students around him, and then the movie review clubs. I probably going to be the advisor for that club this year. There was a time some more casual talk with the teacher. All the kids began to introduce themselves one by one. He quickly realized how much better their casual wear goals for the year and things they wanted to say to the entrance. He started anyhow. Let them have a good time together. Nostalgia and fear creep up from finished his introduction. Lastly, he could see a familiar face standing in front of him. Korean word. The disciplinary teacher. I like it. The bald terror was standing in front of the door with a scissor. He seemed to know the meaning of his name. Maru found himself with a yes and stood up. He had bad memories of getting his hair cut by those scissors. I do like to live fairly quietly about them was the fact that they were dull. Let it get along. So your hair wouldn't get cut off. All right, that just get pulled off. Come on, finished his introduction in a simple fashion. What's that on your hair? And one of the boys got caught by the teacher. Maru took a look at the other kids during break first year. Was it because he had the eyes of an adult in front of the teacher? The kids around him all looked young and cute. Trying to look cool on your first entrance exams and the military. I'm sorry, the exams were fine. 3 laps he was fine with studying. Come back to me. Compared to everything else in life, I'm going light on you was quite easy for first day. But the military, go yes. The boy threw down his bag and started running. I just remembered something. Maru passed by the teacher. I see. As he observed the scene. Dojin smiled. Our mental age is similar, but I still feel weirdly intimidated by Dojin shouted in joy. He found he finished at 2 p.m. since it was only the first day. After locking up his bike, towards the cafeteria, walked up to the second floor where his school was shaped like a capital leaf. He walked into class. One side was the main building with all the classes, and the other side had all the labs. The real cafeteria was next to the lab building. Maru looked up at the fairly familiar with his classroom. The quiet atmosphere. The principal used quite a bit of money building it, but the other kids in the classroom were looking around nervously. They only really used it for festivals. Right now, today was there were a total of 7 kids in the class, and Spicy Maru scanned the room quickly before going back to his own thing. Oh, I meant dough. That thing only really consisted of reading manga and listening to music. There. Since most of them, at least, he decided to sit in the middle of the class. They were all gathered around. As always, sat around here. The same went for other classes. It was a spot the teachers always really knew each other, and he could get to the store during lunch. Was fairly quiet. Maru knew very well that I never studied during school. High schoolers were very loud creatures. This was he didn't seem to like it. Decided to go Maru back wasn't much of a picky eater. Middle school, so he was able to eat it well. Study a bit. I found military food pretty tasty. One of those students that never really made walked out after lunch to notice that was pretty much who Maru was. One of those kids who were playing soccer, but not smart enough to get themselves into a decent school. Dojin clicked his tongue. He had gone to middle school, watched with the dream of getting into a good high school. It the military changed his mind to face reality by the end of the equation. I can remember all this really clearly. My memories changing. Why we called this place recalled the time when he was speaking. The sunlight was streaming in through the windows, along with the cold air of March. The kid's 45-year-old self was getting more and more faint. A lot of them were still awkward around each other. Instead, he would slowly become himself. We had a few here too. He couldn't remember. He could feel himself actively changing. But there were a few outsiders went on, though they managed to form their own group in the end. Though the term didn't really exist yet. Even so, Dojin tried his curious look, just talking to myself. Since the woman had told him he could remember a few key things. Talk to me too. He didn't worry about it. Just go back to sleep. As he thought a bit about the past and the future, he could hear a few kids talking slumped back down on his desk. Did he check you too? Asterisk. One of them said. Check. Asterisk. Oh, you mean having to take my shirt off? We're going to start cleaning out designated areas starting tomorrow. I was pretty scared, to be honest. The teacher exited the guy next to me had a tattoo on it lightly with his board. What happened to that guy? Where do you live? The teacher told him to get it removed. Pretty far. Damn though. Do you bust engineering schools really are something else? Don't you feel cold? I feel like you're treating us like criminals just because we aren't as good at studying as the other kids. Maru waved as he left the classroom. By the way, first day went by well. He thought he might make a few mistakes due to his memory, but that never one on you right now. This place never changed. Hell, he spent quite a bit of money over the 3 years. He'll think about bringing some tomorrow. His entire friend group would assemble in the PC bang after school. Conversation. Whenever one of them recalled seeing something similar to this, he played StarCraft, surprisingly Warcraft, and Lineage harder than he ever studied. One of the kids brought a pack of cigarettes to class on the second day. Maru turned away from the PC bang as he thought to himself, that must have been him. Fun life. Maru couldn't help but look at the kids a little fondly. Maru could quite remember what he'd talking about exchanging cigarettes almost as if they were dealing slowed down a bit. He had smoked around this cloud floating right above him. Friend. I didn't think I lived a bad life like smoking, but I didn't really live a good one becoming one of those kids who stopped others from doing things he had to do. One by one came before kids started flooding into the classroom. He never took risks. A tall guy, a short guy, either. A big guy, clicked his tongue without even realizing it. Ones with glasses. Ones without. So if anything, handsome ones was just ugly ones. How do I want to live? And every one of them had their own flair. That question came at Maru now harder than it ever did. Was able to spot a few familiar faces. Asterisk. You bastards. Asterisk. Just don't change. Maru stepped into the house with a heavy face. He could see the faces of his old friends match up with their younger counterparts. Mom asked him a question. A lot of them all managed to grow beer bellies after they married. but he could still make out their younger selves from their faces. Maru lay down on the bed to look up at the ceiling for a second. Or personalities. He could stop thinking about how he was going to live his future. Nevertheless, Maru took out a math textbook. Even now, his old memories were disappearing. Looking at the little graphs and equations in it, perhaps God wanted him to live a life free of his past. Same went for the English textbook. Maru put his earphones back on, imagining that they'd be friends again in the future. Thank you. They were all unfamiliar with each other so far. Out of sight. A few of them I knew some lottery numbers talk with each other, companies that made it big, but the vast majority didn't. Should I write it down? Maybe it was because this was an engineering school. As soon as he raised himself up to do it, he did remember feeling a little pressured by most of him from behind when he came here. A beautiful woman, a lot of them looked like thugs most of the time. He quickly realized that they weren't such bad people. I think you adapted very well considering the situation. Hold on a minute. Are there many people living their lives again here as well, wasn't there? Of course. He couldn't remember much about it, but not many actually realized that one by one the seats were filling up. Yes. The last one to enter the class was someone who looked like he weighed easily. You'll have to figure out how to use it yourself. The other kids stared at the boy nervously. Looks like Maru somewhat remembered the boy at the back of his head. The abilities could help you in life, but it could make things very complicated for you as well. The old door opened with a start. The sentence came to him quite strongly, who looked to be in his early 40s. He realized again and again that Hair returned to the starting frowning automatically. That made this first step all the more bad memories with that person. We won't be meeting again. Now, not unless something bad happens. Now get that earphone stuff out of ears. In any case, someone wake. Live a fun life. That guy up. I hope you make the right decision. Open the window. Whispered to him. Why the hell are you boys keeping it all shut? Maru stared up at the fresh air in several minutes after the Remember to fold the curtains too. Mom called him out from the living room to eat dinner. The students got to work one by one, he said, walking out of his door. Did your taste buds change overnight? Cold air started flowing in. I thought you making the kids near the windows shiver with an annoyed look plastered over their faces. You're all grown up. Nice to meet you. Mom asked in a teasy tone. Your dam just decided to sit down. I teach digital theory in this school. It tasted familiar. I'm 42, home married, like something that just middle school right now. Oh, you're here. What I like is silence. Have some food. What I hate is a disobedient student enter from the front door. The end. Sigh. No one has any questions. Mom put down the bowl of rice she had been filling. Maru understood that feeling completely. He was well aware that getting involved with that person would be troublesome. Maru pulled out a chair next to him. I don't care if you came here because of your delinquency. He pointed to the chair. If you wanted to be an engineer, I just want two things. I'd be eating here every day from now on too. Listen to your teacher. Eat a little bit. Second, Lada glared at him from the side. There are a lot of people, but he just decided to do big things in the future. The girl really just ate a single bite for them, all right? Thank you for the meal. The teacher banged the podium with his stick, causing the students to flinch a little. Didn't you say you wanted to be the snaking head or something? Yeah, snaking head. He snarled. The word made him grin. Yes, sir. He was reminded of the conversation he had with his mother a week past. School life went by without any problems. Maru was keeping good on his promise about leading a safe school life. Maru got off his bike, took their jackets and bags and stood up. Today, too, there was the disciplinary teacher. Some of the chairs made his eyes out like a hawk over the kids pushed it in. Just go cut your hair the chairs on the ground. I just shave all of it off. Commented with a frown. On the other hand, the students pushed it in a little more gently. Now, for some call out attendance, he was just more comfortable with the buzz cut anyway. Why did he care so much about hair again? Park Woo-Ken. He couldn't even remember. Maru went to the small bike lot next to the parking lot. Forward with his bag and sat on the far side of the first row. 3 days really was great for indoor shoes, the teacher said again. Never changed. Yes. Stand up. When Woo-Ken stood up with a confused look, the teacher stabbed his shoulder lightly with his cue stick. He made friends with a few of them in a week. Maru took a look over the class. Don't make me say it was already split into several groups. You'll get to know more about your teachers as you go to the social kids merge together to form a bigger group in the class. Son of a bitch. I'm actually quite fond of raised his head from the desk to greet Maru. Why do I like it? There was some drool on his mouth because I can really wipe away your like a rabid dog. Yeah. So watch yourselves if you don't want to get hurt. Maru made good friends with the boy over the past week. It was surprisingly easy, since the boy was already very social. Maru found himself clicking his tongue in apologetic face pretty much in the future. Such behavior was banned by law, but not right now. He remembered seeing plenty of kids getting beat up by the teachers. Stop saying it before the word gets stuck to your mouth, dude. If that was because despite how scary that teacher was, he worked up the courage to keep talking to the man. Next up, number 2, Dojin really was a good guy. I'd just buy you one if I can. The students began to take their assigned seats. Get it back, he said. Watching them move along, it wasn't anything that reminded Maru of his time in the military. He was glad he was able to discern one more thing with just an he and his friends used to call this place the military. He could remember the memories fondly. The boy seemed to have tons in his bag. He even seemed oddly proud of the fact that they took up the space for textbooks in his bag. Maru, as in the floor or something. It's a pure Korean word meaning sky. Is that so? Anyway, go sit at the back. Maru sat at the end of the 4th row. The class door opened as the teacher was looking over the classroom. It looked like another teacher had come to talk to him. The man pointed his stick at the class with a warning gaze. He'll be back soon, so be quiet. You won't have any fun on your first day of school if I hear you talking outside. I promise. The kids all sighed in collective annoyance as soon as the teacher got out. Wow, holy shit. Dude, we got caught by a real old bastard, didn't we? The kids all became one in shit-talking the teacher. Maru almost found it entertaining, if not for the fact that he himself had been called an old bastard a few times in the past. God damn it. I wanted a female teacher too. a boy next to him said. Maru turned to look. The boy's name was Han Dojin. With him, having the same last name, the two of them were sitting right next to each other, number 39 and number 40. Well, female, male, potato, potato. Same thing, Maru said, as he put his bag down next to his desk. You don't know Jack, do you? Female teachers hit lighter. Didn't you see that cue stick the teacher was holding? That shit's going to hurt? Man Dojin shuddered in horror with an exaggerated look. Truly, he was a fitting character for the class clown. Funnily enough, the boy's face felt familiar to Maru. Perhaps they were friends in the future. Dojin, was it? Maru confirmed. Yeah, Maru, right. Weird name. I like it. It's one of those names you don't forget. True that what you listening to, by the way? Dojin asked, pointing at Maru's MP3. Just some pop, Maru answered. Let me listen. The boy extended his hand towards Maru, who smiled a little and handed it over. Oh, this song's good, Dojin started moving to the beat of the music. Right then, the door opened and the teacher walked in. Hey, the man's cue stick pointed towards Dojin. Unfortunately, the boy was unable to hear the teacher. Maru slapped Dojin's shoulder. The boy pulled the earphones out frantically upon opening his eyes, but the teacher had already noticed. What did I say about MP3S? Again, the teacher said. Dojin just opened his lips in surprise without saying anything. Give it to me, you bastard. I'm sorry, sir. I won't do it again. Look at you. Talking back now, the teacher just started poking at Dojin's shoulder with his stick. Dojin's shoulder got pushed back, and the boy's face scrunched up into a frown as well. He turned to look at Maru. Maru just nodded in understanding and gestured towards the teacher. Here, bring me a letter from your parents if you want this back, all right? The teacher returned to the podium. Sorry. Dojin turned to Maru with an apologetic look. I'm good. I'll get it back for you, I promise. Just stay still. I'll give it back in a while. Maru wasn't feeling too rushed. He might physically be a high schooler, but he had the mentality of a regular old father from South Korea. His memories might have disappeared, but his experience hasn't gone anywhere. That is, he wasn't so petty to get angry over one small thing. Just look forward. We don't want the teacher noticing us again. Dojin nodded in response. Right then, Maru saw something strange floating above Dojin's head. Why is he looking at me like that? Dojin was feeling a little anxious over Maru's gaze. As a matter of fact, having his classmates stare at him like that was only making him feel sorrier. Is he mad about having it be taken away? Maru turned away, but the boy's face was a little weird. Maru started, rubbing his eyes as if he had seen something. Did something get in his eyes, he wondered. Dojin was a little confused. Well, whatever. He needed to look back at the teacher. He didn't want to get scolded over his lack of attention. What the heck is that? Maru for a second saw that above Dojin's face. He blinked a few times, thinking that he was just imagining things, but it just didn't go away. A word bubble, a pink bubble, was floating above Dojin's head, almost like he was in a comic book. He was reminded of something the woman had said, something about getting a few abilities. Could that be inner thoughts, he wondered? Since Maru had already experienced something out of this world, he was not so ignorant to pass something like that off as a mere hallucination. He would have passed the word bubble off as a figment of his imagination back in the day. But things were different now. Maru looked at Dojin again, but the word bubble wasn't there anymore. Does it have some sort of a requirement? The bubble disappeared in an instant. If it really did allow him to read, mines were only doing morning classes today, so don't you dare fall asleep. Let's have a decent 1 year together. You hear, the teacher said. Yes. The replies from the class were getting a little lazier now. The teacher exited the classroom, clicking his tongue. Of course, he took the MP3 with him. I'm really sorry, I was just going to listen to it for a second. Dojin immediately gave his apologies. He seemed to be fairly sensitive to stuff like this. He was a guy who knew to be sorry. That made Maru pretty happy. Honestly, he hadn't seen many people like that in his 45 years. Compared to all the others he had to deal with in the past, Dojin was a saint. Don't worry about it. Hell, give it back in a few days, Maru said. Right, he should. Give it back. Right, if he doesn't. I might as well just buy another one. It isn't too expensive anyway, eh? It isn't. I thought that was a new model, the ones that are like 250,000 won. Ah. Maru ended up smiling a little in surprise. He was a high schooler right now. Plus, MP3S were currently the new hot thing, making them quite expensive. That MP3 just now was something his parents had gotten him as a graduation gift. It's fine. I'll get it back. Maru quickly changed his stance. Ah, yeah. Is your family rich? By the way, I was just showing off a bit. I'm gonna die if I don't get it back. Right. Ah, crap. I'm so sorry. You don't have to be so sorry between friends, you know. Friends? Maru felt good just saying it. He hadn't said the word in a very long time. Right. Friends from high school were real friends. The type of friends you could meet at any time and call at any time. For no reason at all. Friend? Yeah. We're friends. Dojin bumped into Maru lightly with a big grin on his face. With his friendliness, the boy could probably end up being friends with everyone in the class in just a week. Are we actually going to have class today, though? Dojin asked, with a concerned look. Probably we're an engineering school, so we probably won't go too hard. Right. The two of them talked for a bit while waiting for the Korean teacher. Their conversation naturally moved on to video games, and the two realized they actually played the same MMO together. The spout turned up a notch when they had a definite topic to talk about. I'm a healer. We should play a round together sometime, sure. As they kept talking, eventually came the time for the second class. The Korean teacher that walked in had a bit of a square jaw with long wavy hair. He looked a bit peculiar, to be honest. Nice to meet you, I'm Park Moon-jun, and I'll be teaching you kids literature for the next year. I know none of you will bother remembering my name anyway, so just call me Literature Teach. The man leaned over the podium as he scanned the classroom. Unlike with his homeroom teacher, Maru couldn't help but grin when he saw this teacher. He must had many good memories with this person. You're a bit disappointed, aren't you, since there are no girls here? No one answered. It was the first day after all, and it wasn't like Maru was a social type either. Plus, the teacher actually felt quite a bit younger than him, making him hesitant. Guys, come on. We can't become friends if you don't talk. Tell me, you guys are disappointed because there are no girls in your class, right? Yes, a few of the kids responded with a smile. I do feel for you a little. Spending your youth in a classroom that smells like sweat for a year, what a waste. Why did you guys choose electrical engineering to begin with? Should have gone to art or design. Those are pretty much half boys and half girls. Ah, drawing has more girls now, actually. Really? No girls at all in Ellen. More of the students were talking now. Of course not. Unfortunately, told ya. The only thing waiting for you in the near future aren't flowers, it's just sweat. Wow, that's why you kids need to be especially careful in choosing your clubs. If you end up going into sports, you aren't going to have a chance at seeing women at all for all 3 years. Right then, one of the more playful-looking kids raised their hand. So what are the clubs with the most girls in them? Good question. People need to know how to ask questions like these if they want to live an easy life. Applaud him, guys. Clap, clap, clap. The teacher had a thing for making class seem recreational. Maru clapped enthusiastically as well. Clubs with girls, first of all. There's the Manga Club. They're the people that sell drawings and cosplay during festivals. They have a few girls there. There's also the Origami Club, and then the Movie Review Club. I'm probably going to be the advisor for that club this year. Always gets quite a number of girls, especially since it's a club where you just go to theaters to watch movies. The Drawing Club's nice too. Which one would you recommend? Don't know. We got a lot of girls this year, so pretty much any club would do. Even Mech got 5 girls. Of course, Ellen has 0, with that. Ah, we've been cursed. Just men. More kids opened their mouths, one by one. Maru tried, searching through his memories one more time. He was fairly sure there was a girl in his class when he was going to school. He couldn't remember anything about her, but there was definitely a girl. So not everything stays the same. It didn't seem like a perfect goal. Perhaps several other things changed other than the fact that the year was 2003. Most things stayed the same, but a few minor things seems to have changed. After some more casual talk with the teacher, the kids began to introduce themselves one by one. The teacher asked the students for their name, goals for the year, and things they wanted to say to the class. Hey guys, this is embarrassing. Maru waited as he observed a set of familiar and unfamiliar faces in the class. Anyhow, let's have a good time together for the next year. Dojin finished his introduction. Lastly, oh Maru, that's a pure Korean word, isn't it? I like it. As expected of the Korean teacher, he seemed to know the meaning of his name. Maru answered with a yes, and stood up. He was around 175 centimeters tall. It was considerably tall for the kids in his class. Of course, Maru was well aware that he wouldn't grow much more after this. My name's Maru-han. I'd like to live fairly quietly for my first year. Let's get along. Quiet, huh? Nice. Alright, you can sit now. Maru finished his introduction in a simple fashion. The teacher moved on to talking about his first love that no one asked about. and wrapped up the class nicely. The kids seemed a lot more fond of him than the homeroom teacher. Everyone was having fun. Well, save the few that was muttering stuff like guy talks too much under their breaths. He seems like a fun guy, agreed the first. Period ended relatively safely. Maru took a look at the other kids during break time. Was it because he had the eyes of an adult? The kids around him all looked young and cute, even the ones that were trying to look tough. Girls, though, huh? Maru recalled to the time when he proposed to her in the past. He gave her the ring, saying that had proposed to her again, even in the next life. His wife laughed about it whenever she looked back at it. Well, I guess I'm fine with dating her. He was living a new life. Might as well have a fun time while he was at it, though. There would be a few hurdles to pass in the future. Entrance exams and the military entrance exams were fine. He was fine with studying for them. Compared to everything else in life, studying was quite easy for him. But the military, Sergeant Kim, that son of a bitch. Dojin flinched when he heard Maru curse under his breath. Did you say that to me? No, I just remembered something. Oh, I see. Dojin smiled awkwardly. It's still several years away, so let's think about it then. Re-enlistment. His hair rose up in fright when he thought of it, but he couldn't do anything about it unless the country reunited again. At the very least, the third class passed, and soon the fourth class followed suit. The two new teachers started their classes fairly normally. The only weird one was the Korean teacher. Really now, it's lunch, cleanup, and home. Dojin shouted in joy. School finished at 2 p.m. Since it was only the first day. Where do we eat? You see that gymnasium under construction over there? It's right under there. Maru remembered himself running there almost daily when Dojin told him this. You know a lot about the school already, don't you? I looked around during break time. What a guy. He started walking towards the cafeteria with Dojin. The school was shaped like a capital L. One side was the main building with all the classes, and the other side had all the labs. The cafeteria was next to the lab building. It was quite loud with all the new construction happening upstairs. We can't even use that thing even if it completes. No way, I'm telling you. The only exercise we're going to get is from cleaning it. How the hell would you know that? Call it really good instinct. Maru looked up at the unfinished gymnasium with a grin. The principal used quite a bit of money building it, but he ended up blocking it off after it completed. They only really used it for festivals. As a matter of fact, the only reason for students to visit it was to clean it up. Maru remembered his friends complaining about having to clean up a place they didn't even use all the time. Fond memories. He left the gymnasium behind him and went down to the cafeteria. Thankfully, the lines weren't very long today. The menu today was fried fish, doenjang soup, and spicy braised tofu. Poop soup. What soup? Oh, I meant doenjang soup. Maru looked for other kids in his class over there. Since most of them at least knew each other's faces, they were all gathered around one table. The same went for other classes. No one really knew each other though, so lunch was fairly quiet. Maru knew very well that this wouldn't last, of course. High schoolers were very loud creatures. Bleh? Dojin frowned after his first sip of the soup. He didn't seem to like it. Maru wasn't much of a picky eater, so he was able to eat it well. Then again, I found military food pretty tasty as well. Maru walked out after lunch to notice a few seniors running around the field. On one side they were playing soccer, and on the other basketball, with kids from different classes getting mixed up everywhere. The field looked incredibly chaotic to him. Hoo boy, it's a lot worse than middle school. Dojin clicked his tongue in surprise as he watched. Maru felt otherwise. It's the military. A bunch of kids with short hair were running around with all their strength. If you just took the occasional girl out of the equation, it really looked like the military. Ah, right. That's why we called this place the barracks. It was a really fitting nickname. Maru stepped back into the classroom. The sunlight was streaming in through the windows along with the cold air of March. The kids near the windows were already fast asleep. The lot of them were still awkward around each other, but that'd change in a week. Most would form friend groups with each other, save for a few outsiders. We had a few here too. He couldn't remember all too well, but there were a few outsiders in the class, though they managed to form their own group in the end. I guess they were similar to Bread Shuttle in a way, though the term didn't really exist yet. What? Dojin perked up with a curious look. Just talking to myself. Why do you keep talking to yourself? Talk to me too. Bro, just go back to sleep. You look sleepy. True, that I am sleepy? Dojin slumped back down on his desk. Don't be late. We're going to start cleaning out designated areas starting tomorrow, so remember that. Just go back home and study, you hear? I'd hate to see your sorry faces in some weird place outside school. The end. The teacher exited the room after smacking the board lightly with his board. The kids stood up tiredly from their seats. Where do you live? Waldong? That's pretty far. Do you bus here? Bike? Don't you feel cold? Yeah. But it's cheaper for sure. Fair enough. See you tomorrow. Maru waved as he left the classroom. The first day went by. Well, he thought he might make a few mistakes due to his memory, but that never actually happened. Everything felt nostalgic though. Maru changed direction on his way home and went into one of the smaller streets. He was heading to the little PC Bang near school. This place never changed. He spent quite a bit of money over the 3 years in high school. His entire friend group would assemble in the PC Bang after school whenever one of them said go. He played StarCraft, Warcraft, and Lineage harder than he ever studied. I wonder if I'd play games in this life. Maru turned away from the PC Bang as he thought to himself. A new life. A fun life. What would a fun life entail? Maru couldn't quite remember what he'd done for 45 years. He lived for his family after he married, but before that, he did things without much of a purpose. He passed the college entrance exams with a decent enough score, so he went straight to college. And after failing his first exam there, he was sent straight to the military. He eventually graduated afterwards and decided to work all sorts of jobs afterwards. Jobs. Maru slowed down a bit. He could see a cloud floating right above him. It resembled a wet tissue paper moving about in the sky as the winds willed it to. Maru thought his life resembled the cloud a fair bit. I didn't think I lived a bad life, but I didn't really live a good one either, huh? Work before dreams. Things he had to do came before things he wanted to do. He never took risks, and he never looked far off into the future, either. Steak. Maru clicked his tongue without even realizing it. He did do fun things. He did experience happy things, but there was nothing that could sum up his life in one word. Well, he did have one. So-so. If anything, his life was just so-so. How do I want to live? That question came at Maru, now harder than it ever did in the past 45 years. Maru stepped into the house with a heavy face. How was school? Not weird or anything? Mom asked him a question after a small pause. She seemed to be a bit worried. What with him having gone to an engineering school and all? I'm fine. What about the other kids? They're chill. They're all people. It isn't like a prison with criminals in it or anything. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to do anything weird. They aren't doing anything weird. Sir. Mom turned away from him with a bit of a surprised look. She must have been so surprised with her son being direct all of the sudden. Then again, he never was that direct till he went to the military. Maru lay down on the bed to look up at the ceiling for a second. He couldn't stop thinking about how he was going to live his future. Should I try going to a really good university? Become an elite? No, there's no way. I'm actually that smart. I know studying isn't actually that hard, but trying hard in it doesn't exactly sound like a good move. Maru took out a math textbook from one of the shelves. Looking at the little graphs and equations in it made him choke a little bit. Same went for the English textbook as well. Ugh, studying I'm fine, thank you. Maru threw the 2 textbooks out of sight. He did want to try hard studying and go to a decent university, but taking that first step was pretty hard for him. If only I knew some lottery numbers or companies that made it big in the market, he could still remember what companies made it big in the future in his head. But he realized that this information would disappear slowly in the future. Maybe the heavens didn't want him getting confused over missing chunks of his memory. Should I write it down, he wondered. But as soon as he raised himself up to do it, you can't do that. Someone spoke to him from behind. A beautiful woman in a tight-fitting 2-piece dress had appeared in the room. Ah, you spent the day without any problems. I think you adapted very well, considering the situation. Ah, yes, but I can't let you try to remember events in the future. That's a violation of the contract. The floating woman slowly started to descend down onto the floor. Maru was mindful to lower his voice a little. It would be troublesome if Mom walked in after hearing them. The woman responded almost as if she had read his mind. Don't worry, this place has been sealed off by me. I'm here to explain a few things to you today. What kind of things? Just confirming things that you should already know of. You will indeed forget most of your memories in the near future. That is, it'll fall down into your subconsciousness. You'll remember a few things here and there in the form of nostalgia. Déjà vu, that is. Most people actually experience déjà vu because they have previously experienced that exact thing in the future. Are there many people living their lives again, like me? Of course. But not many actually realize that they've come back to the past. You've had that thought, haven't you? I could have done so much better if I went back to my younger days. Funny thing is, that's the exact moment when you really have come back from the future. You just can't remember it, she continued with a smile. In any case, most of your memories should be gone by the time you go to sleep today. You'll still realize you came from the future though, so don't worry too much about that. Maru raised his hand to cut her off. Do you have a question, Mr. Han? I saw a few word bubbles earlier in the day. Aha, so you have. Can I really read other people's minds? Yes, it's another gift for you from Miss You. A gift, of course. You'll have to figure out how to use it yourself. That's what makes life fun, isn't it? You have a few more abilities to uncover yourself, as well, though you might never come across them in your life. I have other abilities. Kind of like nothing that makes you like a superhero, I'm afraid. But there are abilities that would make you even more amazing than that. I can't get very specific, of course. I can only say your abilities are related to people. People? Yes, abilities related to people. How were such powers supposed to be more powerful than being superhuman? If the word bubbles he saw a few hours ago really let him read minds, it definitely was a better ability than being simply superhuman. To be able to look into minds whenever you want, there weren't many abilities better than that. It's a total cheat. He was getting fairly excited. Life would be more enjoyable if he used this ability well, but it also made him a bit worried. The word bubble kind of came out of nowhere earlier in the day. Things could get bad for him if it cropped up in unexpected places. He knew this from his previous 45 years of experience. He shouldn't bite off more than he could chew. Looks like you figured it out. That's right. The abilities could help you in life, but it could make things very complicated for you as well. Not everyone gets a happy ending after going back in time. What a worrying thought. Everything's up to how you decide to do things, how you decide to live, and how you decide to use your abilities. Of course, it's not like you can use your powers unlimitedly. You'll realize it fairly quickly. But just remember that nothing is free in life. Nothing is free. The sentence came to him quite strongly. Maru nodded. Hez realized again and again that Hez returned to the starting point. That made this first step all the more important for him. We won't be meeting again. Not unless something bad happens, is that so? In any case, I hope you live a fun life. The woman started to fade away. By the time she's almost disappeared, I hope you make the right decision, the woman whispered to him in a barely audible voice. Maru stared up at the ceiling for several minutes after the woman disappeared. Mom called him out from the living room to eat dinner. He could smell delicious soup outside. Doenjang soup that smelled far better than the ones in school. Smells good, he said, walking out of his door. Did your taste buds change overnight? I thought you didn't like this stuff. I'm a high schooler now. I'm all grown up. Oh, is that so, sir? You're all grown up, Mom asked, in a teasy tone. Maru just decided to sit down and start eating. It tasted familiar, homely, like something that just made him smile. Oh, you're here, Bada. Here. Have some food, Mom said as she watched Bada enter from the front door. I'm good. It's just doenjang soup again, isn't it? I also had some tteokbokki with friends on the way back. You can't just eat something like that as a meal. Mom. Rice cakes are carbs too. Don't you know that, Sai? Mom put down the bowl of rice she had been filling. Maru understood that feeling completely. Parents always wanted to see their kids eat well. Hanbada, Maru called out. What eat? Maru pulled out a chair next to him, earning him a glare from his little sister. He pointed to the chair. Eat at least just one bite. Bada was a little surprised by her brother being so forceful. She sat down at the table with a little pout. You never eat since you wanted bread all the time too. She didn't stop complaining until the end. Maru just found that cute. If he were being honest, why did he stop talking with her again? Why did he stop caring for her again? I just didn't really care for her. Ha! After all, he did hear about her divorce a full month after the actual event. Of course, at the time, he did feel a little bit annoyed at her. Why wouldn't she even tell family about that kind of stuff? Then again, he just didn't give her a chance to rely on her back then. Some of the things he hadn't noticed in high school he picked up on now. Experience was an amazing thing. I'll be eating here every day from now on too, so you should eat a little bit. Bada glared at him from the side, but he just decided to ignore it. The girl really just ate a single bite before leaving. You're finally acting like a big brother, huh? Mom asked. It's nothing. I guess you really did grow a bit after going to high school. Mom stared at him with a playful grin. What kind of a face would she make if she realized there was a 45-year-old man inside? He didn't want to get dragged off to the psych ward for asking the question, so he just didn't bother. Thank you for the meal. I'll do the dishes. I'm good. Just go study. Didn't you say you wanted to be the snake's head or something? Snake's head. The word made him grin. He was reminded of the conversation he had with his mother. Instead of going to a good school to be the tail end of a dragon, he'd rather go to the engineering school to be the head of a snake. It was a great excuse. In reality, he just didn't want to study, for sure. All his memories from before high school were becoming clearer now. On the other hand, his memories of the future were getting fainter and fainter. He wondered how much things would have changed for him tomorrow morning. As he walked into his room, Maru sat down on his table and turned on the computer with his toe. Habits were a scary thing. I should play some games while I'm at it, though he had no idea how good he would be. Maru started playing, fully expecting to lose every single round. A week passed. School life went by without any problems. Maru was keeping good on his promise about leading a safe school life. Maru got off his bike as he arrived to school. Today, too, there was the disciplinary teacher keeping his eyes out like a hawk over the front gate. Just go cut your hair already before I just shave all of it off. Today, he was holding a shaver in his hand instead of his usual scissors. There was a kid back in the day whose side of the hair was shaved on the side because he refused to get a haircut. The boy ended up having to go to a barbershop to get it completely shaved afterwards. Maru, on the other hand, was able to pass by without any problems. For some reason, he was just more comfortable with a buzz cut anyway. He would have tried his best to get it a little bit longer if he was young. But long hair was just annoying to him now. Why did he care so much about hair again? He couldn't even remember. Maru went to the small bike lot next to the parking lot. He couldn't help but notice one of the bikes there. It was a rare road bike. It looked expensive even to Maru. Maybe it belongs to a teacher. Maru changed his shoes and walked into the class. 3 Dadas really was great. For indoor shoes never change. 3 Dadas? A few of the kids waved at him when he stepped inside. He's made friends with a few of them in a week. Maru took a look over the class. It was already split into several groups. A few groups formed by social kids merged together to form a bigger group in the class. You're here. Dojin raised his head from the desk to greet Maru. There was some drool on his mouth from napping on the desk. Wipe away your saliva. Ah, yeah. Dojin wiped it off with his sleeves. Maru's made good friends with the boy over the past week. It was surprisingly easy since the boy was already very social to begin with. The boy put on an apologetic face pretty much immediately. By the way, you're MP3. Don't worry about it. Ah, I'm really sorry, dude. Stop saying it before the word gets stuck to your mouth, dude. I can just listen to music on my phone. Ah, I really didn't think that guy would be that much of an asshole. Dojin went into the teacher's office every day for a week to try and get that MP3 back. Despite how scary that teacher was, he worked up the courage to keep talking to the man. Maru had watched all of this from the side. Dojin really was a good guy. I'll just buy you one if I can't get it back, he said. Maru just waved him off. It wasn't anything that important anyway. He didn't want to ruin his friendship with Dojin with something so small. Actually, he was glad he was able to discern Dojin's character with just an MP3. Here, Maru, try this. Dojin threw him a cookie from his bag. The boy seemed to have tons in his bag. He even seemed oddly proud of the fact that they took up the space for textbooks in his bag. You want candy too, it's fine. How are you getting those snacks all the time, though? Our family runs a supermarket. Don't worry about it, we have plenty. Dojin's family ran a market right next to the school. Apparently, they had another market somewhere else as well. Yo, Dojin, me too. One here for your big bro as well. A few of Dojin's friends reached out for candy as well. Whenever Dojin asked for a show from each one of them, the kids would respond with a random dance or an impression. The group around Dojin started laughing. Maru found himself smiling as well when he saw the others laugh as well. Sure, these kids were a bit behind in terms of grades and studying. But to most adults, these kids might seem like a problem in society. But so what? Grades didn't reflect a person's personality, though it wasn't like he was saying all kids with bad grades were good people. Hey, give me one too, said one of the kids at the back of the class. Dojin ignored the boy with a smirk. Come on, man, don't be so stingy, the boy whined. Shut the hell up. Go buy your own. Dojin sounded unusually angry. The boy on the other side just responded with a shrug. Pfft. Trying to look cool, you could have just said no. Looking cool, my ass. Sparks almost seemed to be flying between those two's glares. But the tension didn't last long. The atmosphere calmed as the other kids walked into the class. Maru took a look at the kid at the back. The boy's name was Kang Dawook. He used to sit at the front. But after a few days, he stole someone else's seat and moved to the back. The victim, of course, had to sit in the front. Dawuk took a seat from one of the more May-looking kids in the class. You know the one. Almost every class has one guys who aren't that good at studying, but not that good at socializing either. Within the archetype of those only capable of responding, Maru looked over the class one more time. If no one became friends with that guy in the front, he would definitely end up becoming the butler of all the bullies in the class. Oh, I remember, the official butler of the class. That must have been the guy. In his memories, he could remember a kid that everyone in the class used to leave their work to. They always asked him to do it, but it was nothing more than a thinly veiled threat, Maru observed passively. He couldn't even remember that boy's name or face, only of his annoyance of the situation back then. Not that he did anything about it, though. It was a personal problem. After all, at least. That's what he thought at the time. He could remember people talking about the guy during a few of the reunions where rumors that he got into a big company surfaced. Hey, doesn't Minji have a really nice body? One of the boys in the class said. Aw, crap. I almost caught the boss yesterday too, another one of the kids shouted from the other side of the class. Want to play basketball after class? What's on the lunch menu today? The classroom was increasing in volume, but the boy at the front was just staring forward quietly. He wasn't listening to music or reading either. His occasional glances to the class indicated his desire to join the conversation. I have to act now, Maru thought to himself. He needed to make his move while the other kids were still unfamiliar with the boy. If the boy were to be marked as a class idiot, then no one would even want to hang out with him, lest the same happens to them. You know any other places to grind? The skeleton compound number 8 is garbage. Has too many people as well, one of the boys complained. I told you, there's literally no better place. The lone boy in the front chewed his lips for a second, almost as if he wanted to say something. But in the end, he lowered his head with a deep sigh. Maru sighed from the back at his seat as well. What's up? Dajin asked. Head up from his comic book. Hey, Dajin, Maru said. Yeah? Us guys need to help each other out, right? The hell are you talking about? Dajin looked at Maru with a confused expression. Maru grinned back and stood up from his seat as he made his way over to the first row. Park Daemyoung wanted to live brightly as his name suggests, but that was never the case since his time in elementary school. Ha, you look pretty funny, don't you? One of the kids said to him. Back then, Daemyoung's entire life changed from that one sentence. He could still remember it clearly. He stopped talking as much after hearing that from a friend back in 3rd grade. Why was he so sensitive to about that? After a point, everyone in the class had started pointing out his goofy looks. He remembered. People stopped calling him by his real name. That was when he accepted his ugly appearance. He kept his head low for the rest of elementary school until he entered middle school. Spent middle school without talking much as well. He was bullied then too. Daemyoung hated his face. His cheeks were puffy like a frog's, and his eyes and forehead were abnormally small. He started talking less and less, but the bullying only got worse and worse. Daemyoung went home immediately after his middle school graduation. He didn't want to hear the joy in his peers' voices. I can't keep living like this, he thought. From then on, Daemyoung was set on changing himself. That's why he decided to go to an engineering school instead of a normal one. Perhaps his personality would follow the change in environment, and I wouldn't have to meet the kids from middle school if I went to an engineering school. That was his intention. At the very least, his mother wasn't vocal about his choice. That was her way of telling him she knew of what was happening to him at school. And then the first day of school. He wanted to hang out with the kids with a strong greeting. But nothing of the sort occurred. Seri. The engineering school kids were something else. The boy next to him brought a pack of cigarettes on the second day. One of the other ones was excitedly talking about where to buy alcohol. Everything felt unfamiliar and scary to him, almost as if he would be punched if he spoke a word. And then there was this as well. Hey, let's switch seats. One of the more aggressive-looking kids asked him to change seats with Daemyoung. The boy took his bag and quietly moved up to the front, without saying a thing. What a freaking coward, he could hear behind him. Right there, Daemyoung felt his middle school nightmare reappear. No, he felt something even worse this time. The contemptuous gaze of the delinquent's friends upon his back. Why did he decide to come to an engineering school again? He should have just stuck to normal schools. Maybe he could have become friends with normal kids if he went there. Baha. Ah, you bitch. Please just 501, Ferdoff. People were swearing all around him. Just hearing those words made a chill run down his spine, especially since he never swore. I have to spend 3 years like before again, he thought. 3 years of bullying in elementary school. 3 years of bullying in middle school. Did he have to live his life as a victim all the way through high school as well? You know any other places to grind the skeleton compound? Number 8 is garbage? Has too many people as well, one of the boys complained. I told you, there's literally no better place. He heard a few kids start talking about video games behind him. They were talking about a game he played. He also did know a better place to grind. If he opened his mouth now, could he make friends with them? He didn't end up talking to them. He was afraid of being treated coldly after approaching them. Plus, the kids looked like delinquents. They would surely ignore him if he tried to talk to them. Yeah, maybe later, he excused himself with a thought. Daemyeon knew very well that there would be no later, but there was no way for him to overcome 6 years of bullying so quickly. It's impossible. He found himself thinking. He could feel all the energy inside him stream out. Just like last time, hey, he heard someone behind him, someone calling out to his friend. In any case, it couldn't be him. Ah, Daemyeon, was it? Eh? Ah, someone said his name? No one said his name, since Daemyeon turned back in surprise. There was a pretty tall kid standing behind him. Hanmaru, was it? He remembered, because of the strange name. This kid looks like a delinquent too. Daemyeon couldn't help but start worrying. Yet another word, bubble. Maru couldn't help but laugh a bit in surprise when he saw the bubble. Just what about him made himself look like a delinquent? Park Daemyeon, right? He asked. Ah, yeah, you play World Crash. World Crash was the name of the game the other kids were talking about. And of course Maru was familiar with this game as well. Why wouldn't he be? Games were practically the only thing he did with his time instead of studying. He didn't play this particular game much though. Yeah, I do, Daemyeon answered. What's your level? Me 23? Oh boy. World Crash launched just 3 days ago. Level 23 already. Just how much did this guy play? Hey, Maru called out to the 3 kids talking nearby. You guys play World Crash too. Oh, of course. We were just talking about that, one of them answered. What's your level? 15. What about you guys? Maru asked the 2 others. I'm 16. 14. Here they all had lower levels than Daemyeon. Art, Mara set the boy up for a very nice play here. All Daemyeon needed to do now was open his mouth. Daemyeon felt his entire body freeze up. The group of 3 was looking at him now. Could it be he looked up to Maru, who motioned towards the 3 with his head? This guy was he, helping him. Why, there was no reason for this boy to help him. Ah, he must be making fun of me. Things instantly became clear for him. How depressing. They'd pretend to be his friends again before throwing him away. Has experienced this several times in the past. Of course it would be like that. Daemyeon glanced at Maru, who was still motioning him towards the group. You stop acting like a nice guy. Maru saw the word bubble as soon as his eyes met with the boy. So that's what the dude was thinking now, with that depressed face of his. Maru didn't feel any annoyance from the reaction. He just felt sorry. Just how much was Daemyeon burnt in the past for him to respond to him in this manner? The boy would surely live antisocially if left like this. Maru wouldn't interfere, if that's what he wanted. But if that wasn't the case, hey, he called out. What? Are you doing this because you're comfortable being alone? He leaned forward so that others wouldn't be able to hear. Daemyeon frowned angrily in response. Hey, are you making fun of me? He said. He sounded clearly offended by the statement. Maru turned to look behind him. The 3 kids were still looking at them. I didn't barge in for nothing here. Right. What? I thought you wanted to talk with them. Sorry if I misunderstood. If you were just focusing on studying, sorry about that. Daemyeon's eyes were shaking a little. Maru already knew from the beginning that the boy just wanted to be friends with people. But if not, why don't you start talking with them for once? Daemyeon looked away from Maru. Maru was right. He knew that Maru was talking because he just wanted to be nice. Also that he was just lashing out because he decided to misunderstand the other boy's intentions on purpose. The group of boys next to him would lose interest soon if he just continued sitting there like that. Is it fine if I talk to them? They won't treat me weirdly again, would they? Is it really fine? All sorts of worries came up the more he thought. And Hez's worked so hard to try to change himself crap. It was almost like Hez's forgotten how to talk. He could feel an awkward air start to surround him. Oh God, they're going to make fun of him again. Are you trying to prepare for PT? Why so worried? They're all just kids. Just talk about video games. Stop thinking about how you're going to act. Just do it. It was Maru. He had no idea what PT meant, but he understood everything else. Those words gave Daemyeon courage. Skeleton compound number 8 is good, but there are better places. He decided to continue off from where the conversation was before. Really, the reaction was immediate. You play World Crash, too. What's your level? Oh right. This was what conversations were like. There was no need to think. Young instantly found himself becoming more comfortable. Young started talking easily with the other kids. Maru just excused himself a minute or two later to return to his seat. Oh, what a champ, Dojin smacked Maris's shoulder with a smile. He was bothering me too, he continued. Why didn't you talk to him then, Maru asked. I mean, it was entirely a personal problem. I didn't want to really do anything. Maru thought the same way in the past. Being bullied was a personal problem, but at the same time, it was an entirely easy problem to get rid of. That is, if someone helped from the side a little bit. He was just ignoring it because it was bothersome. He remembered what the woman said before about him being a nice person. Maru didn't think of himself as a nice person. No, not at all. He was just a bit more responsible than others. After all, in the past he completely ignored Demyung's plight. But now, I'll call you a good guy from now, Dojin told him. A good guy. It made him laugh. But it wasn't that bad of a nickname we're choosing our clubs today. So start thinking carefully about it, all right? The teacher announced to the class. He appeared out of nowhere during lunchtime to say this and left without saying anything else. What do we do? One of the kids asked. Just get into the soccer club or whatever. Do they have a PC bang club or something? I heard they have a game research club here. The kids were talking quite a bit among each other. Maru took a look at the list as well. There were over 50 clubs introduced in it. Since classes didn't have any morning or night study sessions, clubs were quite active in this school. Or so, says the literature teacher. Students from other schools even come to visit during festivals. I'm talking about the ones from the all-girls high school next door. They used to be called the Dongsang Girls School of Industry, but they changed to Dongsang Global High School last year. They caused quite a bit of commotion by coming with their dance club. Heard they wiped the floor with the dance club at our school? That's why our dance club has been working their asses off this year? Or so I've heard. So if you guys want to lose some weight and befriend girls, go there. Maru could remember just barely as well. There were a few clubs that worked very hard to look good in the festival. The music club people were something else, he recalled. He could remember hearing them sing right at the entrance of school during the festival. Yo, Maru, what you planning on doing? Dojin asked. Maru didn't really have much of a plan. Previously, he picked the movie review club. It was a very average club, whose sole activity was to go to see movies on Saturday and then play games in the PC bang afterwards. It wasn't horrible. At least he got to watch movies every month. Maybe he should try for the same club. Nothing else really caught his eye as he read the description. For the movie club, the bell rang. English class, the war against sleep was about to begin. Have some mint candy? Dojin threw him some candy. Maru popped it in his mouth without hesitation. It helped. The coolness definitely helped. A chubby lady entered the classroom. She was their English teacher. Not anyone extraordinary, but a simple average teacher, who chatted with the students every once in a while. The woman put on a few pop songs in the background and went on with teaching. In the middle of it, someone knocked on the door. Knock! Knock! The class was interrupted by a group outside. Ah! The English teacher motioned the group in, without saying anything else. She seemed to know what was going on. Hey, those of you who are sleeping, wake up! The teacher said. Maru raised his head to look at the door. There were a few students walking in with a nervous face. Seniors, maybe. There were 2 girls and 2 guys. The 2 guys walked in stiffly along with a girl. The last girl walked in confidently as if she owned the school. Maris's attention naturally went towards the last girl. She had quite the long hair, almost long enough to break school regulations. Wait, hold on a second. She just curled her damn hair. The girl had clear eyes, a pink nose, and a mouth that seemed to burst out into speaking mode at any second. She took the podium almost as if she was the teacher and called the other 3 over. Come on, guys, we don't have time. Ah, right, the other 3 responded. The 4 of them took their positions rather quickly. What's going on? Maru watched the 4 with his arms crossed. 1, 2, 3, the girl said, and hello? We are the acting club, Blue Sky. Well, that was loud. Loud enough to wake up all the sleepy kids, including him. Ah, the acting club. Come to think of it, there was one. Wasn't there the high school acting club? He couldn't remember much about them, other than the fact that they went to some sort of a competition. Nice to meet you, I'm Lee Yeonjung, the president of the acting club. I'm a second year, the girl said. She put a lot of emphasis behind second year. We came to see you juniors because we wanted to promote the acting club a bit. Our acting club's talented enough to have won a gold medal in the national teenage acting competition in the past. We're looking for new members willing to make some memories with our club, she continued. The acting club's nice. They even have their own room, and they have their own segments during festivals too. Even the English teacher butted in a little bit. The teacher motioned the girl to continue. We're a bit short on members, because all of our third years decided to quit. Anybody here watch a play before? The girl scanned the class with a hopeful look. But no one raised their hand. Plays, huh? Mara's seen quite a few of them in the past. There was a time when he's worked for a short time as a road manager in his time job hunting right after college. It wasn't all that great. He was basically a servant for the actors and the directors. He even had to complete all sorts of random tasks for the chief manager as well. He wasn't even in charge of just one actor, either. He was almost like a taxi driver for all sorts of actors. Had taxi a side character on stage, and start completing all sorts of other jobs like carrying cameras, all the while suffering the treatment of a slave. At the time he had to visit Haihua Station a lot to pick up side characters, whenever the show ran short. Naturally, has ended up watching a lot of plays in the process. He even dreamed of being an actor at one point, but he quickly gave up on that idea after getting a nice desk job at a small company. Right then, Morris's eyes met with the podium girl's. Her gaze intimidated Maru enough to raise his hand. Ah, you've seen it, the girl asked. Yes. How was it? Well, some were fun, some not so much. He decided to be honest, thankfully. Yoonjung seemed content with that answer. She just seemed to be happy that there was someone who watched plays in the class. How many people were there? A few monodramas. Most of them were under 8 people. Whoa. Yoonjung leaned forward. She seemed to want to jump out to talk more with him right then and there. Maru flinched and leaned back a little from the pressure. You must like plays, Yoonjung said. What? Ah, no, not really. Really? Yes. Do you hate it then? Ah, not really. Then let's say you like it. She just decided on an answer right there. Quite the decision maker, wasn't she? Deciding what people likes or hates just then and there. And so energetic she was. One of those kids that made him feel alive just being near them. The type of people that dragged others to match their pace in a conversation. Maru took a look around the classroom. The students were focused at Yoonjung almost as if class was right about to end. The girl had a talent, the talent for drawing attention. Yoonjung took a deep breath before continuing. Let's cut the BS for a sec. All sorts of people are needed in a play. We have costumer designers, prop masters, stage managers, and actors, of course. We make our own props and costumes in our plays, since we are a club. B.S. Maru found himself smiling at the girl's straightforwardness. The other kids looked pretty surprised as well. To think a girl like her would say something like that. Yoonjung didn't notice the crowd's reaction though. It's hard. We have to get together at all sorts of times to work. We might spend a ton of time making props, and make our own costumes if we can't rent it. We made our own props last year with planks and hammers. We needed to build a restaurant, you see. It took a while to make something that resembled a house. Some of us got hurt as well. If you look here, the girl extended her hand out towards the class. There was a long scar on her left pinky finger. Hey, Yoonjung, stick to the script, the other girl pointed out as she poked Yoonjung from the back. Yoonjung jumped back in surprise, almost as if she were scalded by hot water. She seemed to be the type that fell into her own stories. Maru didn't dislike that. Those people were annoying occasionally, but more often than not, they energized the group they were in. People like her often shone brightly in a group. Yoonjung inhaled for a second before talking again. That's why we're requesting people to join the acting club. Things will get hard, sure, but I promise it'll be worth it. I can't even describe to you the feeling you get when you perform an act you've been preparing for months. Soon you'll even begin to love that entire process. She was shining. Even the seniors standing next to her were, as she talked more about acting. They started standing straighter, prouder of course. It will be difficult. I keep saying this for a reason. It won't be easy at all. That's why we aren't looking for anyone, right? When Yoonjung said around this much, a different girl jumped in. She was a girl with relatively short hair, almost boyish. But this girl acted more like a girl than Yoonjung. She even had makeup on. Well, just enough to warrant trouble with teachers. Of course it'll be hard, but it's not just that. Plays are made by all sorts of people. Actors aren't everything. Staff don't require as much work as Yoonjung said, since they just help out in between plays or practice. But without them, plays wouldn't even be possible. So if you're interested, please give us a visit, the girl finished. With a slight bow, she seemed like a pretty calm and collected girl to Maru. If Yoonjung was the type that yelled, "Charge!" this one seemed to be the type to hold Yoonjung back. The type that was persuasive. When both girls stopped talking, the guys stepped forward. They seemed lackluster due to the energy the girls showed right before. We are the staff. We decided to help the crew more after our first year acting. You'll be able to see a bunch of stuff when you come to our club room. They're years of work that's been created by our seniors. Like Danmi said earlier, we welcome anyone interested. We're looking forward to working with you for 1, maybe even 2 more years in this club, said one of them. The other one stepped forward. Unlike the first boy who had sporty hair, this one just had a flat nose. Please come if you're interested. We even have a teacher that we hired to teach us acting. I'll leave the form here. We're accepting till tomorrow. So please come. Ah, and of course you're always free to visit us in the club room. And if you're worried about your looks, don't worry about it. Just look at me. The boy grinned. This one seemed to be the more Alec of the two. At that moment, Maru noticed that the other 3 in the group were looking at the flat-nosed guy almost as if they were paying attention to every one of his words. To think a boy would arouse that sort of a reaction from his friends. He might be more influential than that second girl even. Maru thought these people were truly interesting. The flat-nosed guy seemed to be the type of guy who was way more thoughtful upon further notice. But why was a guy like that working as a stage manager? Well, he probably had his own story. With just 4 people in the entire club, it must have been pretty difficult to do anything. So just come on over. Well, explain things later on, the boy finished. The 4 people bowed. Unfortunately, not many people in the class seemed interested in the club. Not a fan, man, one of the students said after the 4 left. How difficult is it if they warn you about it from the start? Easy stuff is the best. The 4 seemed to have failed to really get anyone. When Maru looked over, he found them cheering each other on. They were probably planning on making rounds across the entire floor. Yo, Maru, asked Dojin. Maru turned to look over at his friend. What's up? Doesn't this seem fun, the acting club? Yeah, you're gonna do it. Dunno yet? So, but just as Dojin was about to finish, the English teacher tapped at the board lightly. Now, we can continue the small talk later. Flip to page 15. What day is it today? She asked. It's the 11th, Mom, number 11. Stand up and read the first sentence. The class resumed. Dojin immediately shut his mouth and started paying attention. Maru took a look at the list of clubs in front of him again. The acting club. Everything else on the paper became smaller and smaller until the only thing on that paper he saw was the word acting. The acting club, he found himself thinking. Right below it was the movie review club. Joining that club would let him spend his first year leisurely. Leisurely, he tried whispering the word to himself. What was his life of 45 years like? The question that he thought of on the way back home hit him again. How did he want to live? Fun. The answer reared its head from his mouth almost unconsciously. Looks like a bunch of zombies, Maru thought as he looked over the entire class. The state of the classroom after the 5th period looked like a bunch of zombies struggling to stay awake. As expected of English class, it was stronger than even most sleeping pills. Yo, Maru. Want to check out the acting club? Dojin asked. You mean the room? They told us we could come, so how about it? You said you didn't choose a club yet? Right. Yeah. Hell, yeah, let's go. Dojin seemed just a little bit excited. Well, quite a bit, actually. The bubble floated above Dojin's head briefly, before disappearing. Let's go after school then, Maru said. Sure. Dojin was humming happily to himself. Maru was starting to figure out how this word bubble thing worked. I need to look at their eyes first. He could always see the word bubbles out of the people whose eyes met with his. This seemed to be the first condition. Second, the person in question needed to think about him at least. That's what it seemed like. All of Dojin's thoughts seemed to have been directed at him. Same with Damyoung, Maru realized. Maru called Dojin over and started staring at the boy's eyes. Dojin seemed a bit confused, but he didn't look away. 10 seconds of staring after. What's up? Dojin asked. It's nothing, Maru said, as he put a hand over his chin. Dojin must have thought of something just then amongst the lines of what's up with this guy. But no word bubble appeared. Hey Dojin, yeah? Did you think of anything when I was looking at you? The boy looked confused by the question, but he shook his head in denial. Of course not. What's there to think about? Now Maru understood. Friends wouldn't think something like, what's wrong with this kid between each other? No, to begin with, most people don't usually think deeply when going about their lives. Maru looked down at his hand. He was playing around with a red pen in it. Of course, he wasn't actively thinking, let's play with this pen as he did it. He just did it out of habit. Hey Dojin, he asked. What up? Stand up a bit. The hell are you trying to do? Dojin said, standing up. Anyway, what did you think just now? Think of what now? I just stood up. Right, flipping heck. Is this because of the MP3? Maru turned to look at Dojin. Right there. But there was no word bubble still. Was there a different condition as well? The word bubble came just then, allowing Maru to draw a single conclusion. The word bubbles only appeared when a person thought of something specific. No need to tell your mom I'm fine, Maru responded. No, but if you keep looking at me like Theo Boyd. Wait. What? How do you think? Just a smart guess, man. Did I look too obvious? Don't worry about it. Can I have a piece of candy, by the way? And just forget about the MP3. I can't believe you're still worried about it. My dad's always told me that if I care about a person, I have to treat them with utmost respect. You're a friend, so you deserve it, said Dajin as he threw him a piece of candy. Maru received it with a smile on his face. Dajin sounded like he grew up under a wonderful father. He agreed with the sentiment completely. The more you value a person, the more you should respect them. What a sentence, he said. Agreed. Anyway, are we going to the acting club or not? We are. Maru realized that he really was treating his new life differently. In the past, he might have felt an interest in the acting club, but just wouldn't have gone. He would just have said something along the lines of looks fun, but too hard and turned away. But Maru knew now that this was the only chance he had in life where he was free to do anything. He couldn't live freely in college because by then, he had to start worrying about entering the real world. In that case, shouldn't he do everything he could to try to live as fun a life as he could now? A small smile crept up on Morris's face. He had made a decision. He threw the club list away. He didn't need it anymore. Ah, crap, homeroom time. The bell rang alongside someone's complaint. Maru drove off all his sleep with that as the signal. He really couldn't afford to sleep in this one. Getting hit by a cue stick was a big no-no for him. The classes ended, and all the students went off to their cleaning areas. Those who weren't assigned to areas ran off to the front entrance. Yoonjung ran for the clubroom instead. She wondered to herself how many people would come to visit. She hoped to see a few. She went up to the clubroom at the fourth floor of the school. The lights were still off. Yoonjung squeezed through the door to get inside. I should clean this all up first, she found herself saying. The clubroom was quite large, but despite that, all the props and costumes inside made it look small. There were 4 hangers full of costumes. Even I guess, cleaning all of it's a bit of a stretch. When would she even finish? Yoonjung grew sick of cleaning the place up before she even started. She didn't notice because she got used to the place. But if the newcomers were to see this with multiple voices of imaginary club members streaming in her head, she immediately pulled up her sleeves. She can do this! The clubroom reverberated with loud noises. As Lim Danmi stepped outside of the classroom with her bag, a friend of hers stopped her. Hey, Danmi, we're going to the karaoke. Want to join? Danmi found herself shaking her head without a moment's pause. Sorry, I have to go to my club, she responded. Acting club? Yup. Think you got a lot of people? Dunno? Hope we did, though you said there were just 4 left. Yeah, I heard a few seniors come help every once in a while, but they're all probably busy. And there was a different reason, but there was no need to talk about that. The friend waved her goodbye with a, let's go together next time. Danmi wondered to herself since she started going to the club so frequently at one point. She only hung out with her friends after checking that no one was in the clubroom. She had no idea that she'd be working so hard when she first joined the club. Danmi went up to the 4th floor through the central staircase. This was the staircase the third years used to get home. Danmi turned the corner with a strange sense of nervousness. And good God, she said, half the corridor was flooded with just stuff. Just who did this? She stuck her head into the corridor window with a frightened face. She could see Yoonjung there, coughing in the massive cloud of dust. Of course it was Yoonjung. There was literally no one else would do something like this. The hell? Danmi heard someone talk behind her acting club. They must be digging through their pile again. She could hear that the third years starting to take notice. She bowed to them as a quick apology before jumping into the mess herself. Lee Yoonjung, she shouted. Hey Danmi, nice timing. Could you just, you bitch! Danmi pinched Yoonjung's cheeks tightly, causing the girl to groan in pain. It hurts, Yoonjung said, hitting Danis's hands off of her. Good, it's supposed to hurt. Danmi took a look over the room. It was a room filled with a decade full of memories. Memories passed down between each generation of seniors. Every prop the club has ever made remained here year after year. Of course, Danmi thought about fixing it up at some point. She didn't want this place turning into a storage room either. But why did it have to be today? What do you think the newcomers would think when they look at this? She said. Well, I tried to fix this place up really good, right? But every time I move something, more stuff just appears. So you decided to take everything outside first? Yoonjung nodded energetically. Danmi could feel a stab of pain at the back of her neck. If only she could pry open that girl's head at one point. How were you going to do all this by yourself? Don't you remember we promised to do this over the weekend? I know. But if the newbies came to see the club like that… Yoonjung had become visibly deflated. The girl's mood changed way too fast all the time, especially in failure. She would just drop down like a doll that just ran out of battery. You give me a ton of stress. You know that? Please help? Of course I will. Didn't you notice all the seniors saying stuff outside? Ah, I knew it. Oh, so you did. The entire corridor's been blocked off by stuff. What if one of the teachers right when Danmi said this much? Someone cut her off from behind. Look at all this. Oh, bother. Yoonjung and Danmi whipped around in surprise. I told you before, didn't I, that you need to clean all this up at some point. Ugh, it was the Hanja teacher. He was wearing his modified traditional clothes, with a hot pack in his hand. His narrowed eyes were looking around the club room, annoyance written all over his face. The man was clicking his tongue in disapproval. Of all the teachers, did it really have to be the Hanja one? Danmi found herself thinking. The teacher was one of the faculty members that didn't like the acting club at all. Last time she was scolded because the corridor outside the club room was dirty. She didn't say anything, despite knowing that the students of design from Class B were in charge of it, since this particular teacher really hated having students talk back to them. Well, clean it up, Danmi said. Yoonjun immediately followed up from behind, we're sorry. The Hanja teacher was still dissatisfied after the two's apology. Why do you keep collecting trash anyway? He muttered to himself. Danmi realized the scolding would go on for a while. As she was about to let out a deep sigh, someone came in. Teacher! Bang Jung-yuk, the Hanja teacher responded as he turned. Danmi looked next to her with a sigh of relief. Bang Jung-yuk, the boy with the flat nose, was greeting the Hanja teacher. I apologize. Well, clean it up right away, he said. Sure, clean it right up, the teacher responded as he made his way back down the corridor. Yes, sir, it was a good thing Jung-hyuk arrived on time. The Hanja teacher was someone who had a very defined sense of who he liked and didn't like. Fortunately, the boy was not on that list. Nice timing, Danmi said. I knew something might be going on, especially with Yoonjung being excited like that. Yoonjung looked away with an ashamed face. Cleaning all this is difficult right now. The auditorium in the 5th floor is open right now, so let's just dunk it all in there, he continued. Can we use it? Danmi asked. I got permission. Oh, as expected of Jung-hyuk, Danmi tapped the boy's shoulder with a proud look. We need to do well. Not many people in the faculty think well of us. Jung-hyuk spoke in a heavy tone. Danmi and Yoonjung made an apologetic face. They were well aware of what the boy was talking about. Let's go. We set the costumes aside and carry the hangers first. Let's take out some props along the way. This should do for now, Jung-hyuk continued as he took the hangers to the 5th floor. Danmi shook Yoonjung awake from her depressed stupor. Let's clean up. Oh, Danmi shook her head as she watched Yoonjung move forward lifelessly. The girl must have been reminded of last year. Danmi took a look at the widened club room. The room filled with memories with the seniors, but they were no longer here. Ugh. Let's just work, Danmi said, as she grabbed a large bunch of clothes with her arms. Han Maru! Yes, sir. Just listen. During break time, the homeroom teacher threw Maru the MP3. Maru waved the device at Dojin with a smile. Ugh, that guy. He really had to wait a full week before giving it back, Dojin complained. Hey, at least I got it back, Maru responded. You're too nice, hey? Don't you forget you started all this. Want some candy? Dojin tried changing the topic. The cleaning session was over. It took a little longer than normal since the class was in charge of cleaning the bathroom this time. Since no one wanted to touch the toilets, they played a game to decide. The others don't seem very interested in the club, Dojin realized. Of course not. It's too much work. Does it seem like too much work to you too, Maru? No, seems pretty fun. Really then, we're registering together, right? Never said anything about registering. Let's check it out first. Just as they were about to get out, though, someone stopped them from the back. It was Damyong. He seemed to want to say something. You going to the acting club? He asked. How do you know? Dojin said with a curious look. I overheard you guys, Maru nodded. Dojin was a pretty loud guy. If he decided to get a tiny bit loud, pretty much everyone on the corridor would hear him. It really was unfortunate. The guy didn't seem to realize how loud he was at all. So what Dojin said as he scanned Demyoung a little bit? Demyoung stepped back a little bit with a scared face. It was understandable. The boy was just afraid of people who looked like delinquents. Dojin looked plenty like one, even to Maru. Then again, engineering schools never had serious students to begin with. Demyoung was just the weird one out. Hey, Dojin asked with an annoyed look. Demyoung froze up like a deer in the headlights. Yeah? You're funny. What? Why are you scared? Did I do something? Number. So why are you acting so scared? Just tell me straight if you want to say something. I hate indecisive people, huh? I'm getting pissed off just thinking about it, hey? Why are you, Maru yanked dodging back with a slight smile, causing the boy to lose his balance for a second. Gah, what the hell, what are you doing? You pulled me back. Yeah, I did. What the heck are you getting mad by yourself for? Hey Demyoung, what did you want to tell us? It's nothing. Demyoung turned away with an awkward smile. Look at this kid. Maru's eyebrows twitched a little in annoyance this time. He grabbed Demyoung and pulled the boy back. He was pretty quick with this kind of stuff. His father was an amateur boxer, so Maru played a few different sports in his youth, of course. He ended up gaining a bit of weight when he aged, but his speedy reflexes remained. Tell me straight if you want to say something, especially since you wouldn't get the chance to after this. Maru felt bad about Demyoung. The first year of high school was the time when students were truly free, the time when they really could focus on having fun more than anything else. Maru was thankful that he could start life again. He knew Demyoung didn't have this chance, though. He didn't want the boy spending his first year with shame and fear that just wasn't right. Thankfully, Demyoung seemed to have understood Maru's intent a little, from his voice. I want to join the acting club. You too, Dojin responded with a surprised look, earning him a nervous nod from Demyoung. Boyuel, the second years told us, didn't they? That our faces didn't matter? Maru knew how much courage it took for the boy to say that. It made him feel pretty proud. To be honest, it was hard for people to change. Maru wasn't a fan of people who didn't even try to change themselves in life. In that sense, Maru found Demyoung's courage admirable. Come to think of it, Gayul was around his age, wasn't she? And Gayul was Mars's daughter in the previous life. He could remember her as clear as day despite the fading memories. Maru felt something come up his chest when he remembered the little girl's voice. What happened to the girl as he came back to the past? Did she disappear, or was she continuing to live in the reality where he died? Hey, what are you doing? Dojin slapped his shoulder. Maru just waved the other boy off and put his arms over the two boys' shoulders. Let's go. Maru lifted his 2 feet in the air for a second, causing the two to frown. Ah, you're heavy, Maru. Let's just get a move on, guys. Ah, do you know each other's names by the way? Maru asked. Demyoung nodded, and Dojin shook his head. Han Dojin, meet Park Demyoung. Demyoung, meet Dojin. Good, good. Now this great Han Maru finally has his minion number 1 and minion number 2. Stop speaking, bull. Minion Maru strengthened his grip on the two's neck. He'll be able to meet them both someday, both my wife and daughter, he thought, so he should just focus on the present for now. Thinking this, he went up to the 4th floor with Dojin and Demyoung. Yoonjung was pretty amazed that 15 first years were waiting for them in the club room. It made her happy enough to want to hug the lot of them to bits. She had been pretty worried. What if they don't come? What if all this preparation was for nothing? But they ended up getting 15 students. 15, Yahoo! Yoonjung shouted inwardly. She coughed a little bit to gain a bit of composure as she stepped forward. The first years all looked at her with interest. You're all here to join the club, right? She asked. Yes, only a few of them responded. Well, that was fine. They were just being shy. With a little bit of work, they'd all be smiling and laughing just like before. Right like before. Nice to meet you. I introduced myself before. But you'll do it again. I'm the president of the acting club, Lee Yoonjung. I'm a second year majoring in computers. The first years seemed a bit confused by the introduction. This Want-do Yoonjung decided to invite them into the room before things got worse. Come inside. This is the club room. There was space for 15 people inside thanks to the prior cleaning. Good job. Yoonjung cleaning out the room was a nice decision, right, Ben? She noticed a web stocking on the floor. It was something they used in the last show. She snuck the stocking into the corner with her foot. No need to show something like this to the students right now, especially not with girls here. 6 guys and 9 girls, not bad. They all looked very different from each other as well. This was a good thing. Plays were more fun if the actors were diverse. Yoon-jung was getting more and more excited. Plays would be very fun with kids like this, and with 19 people in the club they'd be able to do a lot. That kid looks like had be good at talking. That kid as a prop maker, maybe that? Excuse me? One of the girls raised their hand. Ah, yes. Do you have a question? Yoon-jung responded. Yes, I do. Fire away. I'll answer anything. I noticed you have meetings on Saturday along with a practice day at the end of every month. Yes. Around. When do you guys finish practice every day? The girl seemed very curious. This killed Yoon-jung's excitement a little bit. Right. Home going. Home was important. But that was the first question. Really? Thankfully, Demi stepped forward to answer the question for her. It's not very regular, Demi answered. Not regular. The female student seemed quite surprised. Yes, like we said, this requires a lot of practice. Actors need to act, and stage managers need to make props and practice timings. Sometimes we have to do both. So when do you finish? Then. Well, does it end as the list tells us? 3 o'clock on Saturday and 5 on practice days? That's unlikely to be the case. We might have to do overtime based on how difficult the play is. Because of that, I understand. The girl stepped back. She seemed to have completely lost interest. She fiddled with her phone for a little while before saying her goodbyes. I'm sorry, I don't think I can do it. Oh, really? I really want to do it, too sorry. Yoon-jung found herself getting a little bit peeved when she heard that she wanted to do it. If you really wanted to do it, you would have thrown everything away and done it. You wouldn't even have worried about when practice would end to begin with. No. Yoon-jung, get a hold of yourself. You don't know what's up with her life. She might have to help out her parents after school. Or her dad might be super strict. That calmed her down. Right. Everyone had their own stories, everyone. I don't want just a club taking up so much of my time, the girl finished. Yoon-jung's cheeks twitched a little right there. Just a club? Then what was the entire point of her first year of high school? What did this girl even know about the acting club? How dare she? Oh my gosh! This is stressful. This is a junior too. But right as Yoon-jung was about to unleash an outburst, then go, someone said. It seemed to be a first year, the middle one out of the 3 boys in the back. He seemed pretty familiar. Where did she see him again? Right. The electrical engineering class. Monodrama. Yoon-jung pointed at the boy in the middle. The other students looked at her in confusion. Aw, it's nothing. I'm sorry. Yoon-jung laughed nervously and stepped back. The other kids looked at the boy in confusion. Is something wrong? The boy asked, confusion written across his face. He turned to talk to the girl who questioned the club earlier. You should leave before you're late to your thing, sure. The girl looked at him, a small frown apparent on her face before leaving with her friend. That was the cue for 5 people to walk out of the room. We're screwed, Yoon-jung thought to herself. It was 5 people. 5. They were incredibly short on people to begin with. Perhaps she should have offered them goodie bags or something. Right as her anxiety started to set in, someone spoke up with a question. What kind of plays have you done so far? One of them asked. Excuse me. The question caught Yoon-jung by surprise. She hadn't expected that shouting monodrama earlier would prompt this kind of a question. I was just curious. About the kind of plays you've been doing. Ah. Yoon-jung regained her confidence when the students started asking her questions she actually wanted to hear. Man, monodramas. What wonderful little things. Yoon-jung really needs to work on her face. Jung Hyuk found himself echoing Danma's statement. Yoon-jung was straightforward with her thoughts and sentiments. This was a bit problematic to most people. Even now, the girl was getting way too excited when she really needed to be calm. Of course, she was completely serious whenever she grabbed hold of a script. But most times, she did stuff that would confuse most normal people. Would you look at this for a second? First years. Jung Hyuk decided to step forward, which indicated Yoon-jung to cool off. Jung Hyuk took out a picture book from the cabinet. There were 12 of them in total. We made one of these each year. Each book contains a full year's worth of events in the club. Here, let's take a look at a recent one. He opened the book from 2002, drawing the first years to gather around the dusty book. The first picture is always a group photo of the members in the club room. If you join, you'll be able to get in the 2003's group photo. Whoa, one of them said. There's a lot of people. The first years all voiced their own comments. Jung Hyuk found himself looking back at his friends with that last comment. The 4 club members all wore bitter looks on their faces. Yes, there were, he said. His voice was significantly lower than before. Jung-hyuk tried to stifle the awkwardness with a cough. The others were sending him signals that he was making things look a bit too depressing. In any case, this was the first play we ever performed. A third year took charge at the time, and us four here were the supporting actors right here, right then. Supporting actor my ass, he was a lead actor too. Min-sung butted in. Jung-hyuk immediately cut the other boy off with a low voice. Don't act so friendly here. Ah, sorry. Min-sung immediately corrected his sentence. To this guy was a lead actor as well to the first years. The members of the acting club all spoke formally to their new members. They would become casual when the students joined. But before that, they treated the students as formally as possible. This was a tradition that was passed down from the very first year the club was created. Jung-hyuk had no intention of breaking that tradition today. Min-sung turned the page of the picture book with a smile. There were pictures of the club after the curtain call. This is Jung-hyuk. Has barely recognizable, isn't he? The first years nodded vigorously as a response. Jung-hyuk tried to turn the page quickly in embarrassment. But Min-sung didn't let that happen. This guy here's actually great at acting. Even the seniors recognize that. You'll be able to see more of his cool side if you join. Unfortunately, he'll be acting as a stage manager this time, so you can just ignore Min-sung here. Jung-hyuk continued, as he pushed Min-sung backwards. Here, take a look. Looking at our past accomplishments can help you make your decision. Hell, give them plenty of time so that they have the freedom to make their own decision. He won't try to force a decision on any of them. That's just not how this club works. After around 10 minutes of looking around, the first years raised their head. Jung-hyuk could tell a few of them had made up their minds as well. Not in a good way, unfortunately. That stage over there, that looks like a shack, one of them asked. Yes. Did you make all that? Yep, all the hammering and sawing too, of course. The first year nodded with a heavy look, earning a bitter smile from Jung-hyuk. If things go badly here, the entire club might consist of just 4 second years. Would you like to look at the costumes as well? Jung-hyuk exited the room after speaking. The first years followed closely behind him. When he opened the doors to the auditorium, he got a few wows out of the students. A lot of these were either made by us or bought from companies. We ended up collecting this many over the years. Jung-hyuk was proud of these costumes. They were the symbol of hard work and perseverance of the club, but the heavy looks from the first years didn't really go away regardless. All of their accomplishments only proved how difficult the club was going to be. It was understandable. He decided to shake them up a little bit more. The acting club costs a bit of money as well. The budget granted to us by the school isn't nearly enough plus. There's the fee for inviting a teacher over money. High schoolers were especially sensitive to money. Jung-hyuk knew this incredibly well, almost as proof. The faces of the uncertain students changed to ones of certainty. Sorry, a few of them said as they left. Jung-hyuk honestly didn't want to take their goodbyes, but he had to. He couldn't catch them. He couldn't force any of this on a student. Students forced to act was just the club asking for a bad play. The first years disappeared after saying their goodbyes. Maru could visibly see the second year's face get darker by a little as each student left. Yoonjung especially looked like she lost the entire world or something. The other 2 second years seemed pretty calm on the surface, but they were fidgeting nervously in some places as well. Man, even he was starting to feel a little nervous because of them. They're all gonna get out at this rate, Dojin whispered to him. The more the second years talked, the more people started running away. Time and money were pretty valuable after all. Asking for both was being pretty greedy towards the first years. The picture book was pretty pressuring as well. Sure, it was cool to look at, but it served as the evidence of the dedication this club required, making each and every prop with great care and acting on stage pretty much prescribed hard work. Even now, he could feel some sort of energy from the pictures. It made sense that a few first years would leave after looking at it. Hum. The second year with the buzz cut stepped forward. The thing about buzz cuts was that it often made a person look pretty scary, but in this case, the dude looked like an acorn with it. At least, it was easy to look at. Looks like all the wishy-washy people left, he said with a clap. Well, be introducing ourselves then. I'm Choi Min-sung, in mechanical engineering. Min-sung sent a glance towards the girl with the short hair. I'm Lim Dan-mi, second year in design. I like talking and making costumes. Dan-mi pulled the other boy over next to her. Maru could tell that this guy was pretty much the leader of the club, despite Yoonjung being the one in name. The name's Bang Jung-hyuk. In electrical engineering. I'll introduce myself more once you join. Now he knew the 4 second years' names. Maru took a look around. There were 6 first years left. 4 guys and 2 girls. The 2 girls seemed to be friends with each other. That left one other guy. Was he by himself? The boy had quite a big physique, with a pretty large forehead. He looked pretty serious and quiet. That was a rarity in high school. Will you be joining? Yoonjung asked with a gleam. Yes. The first to answer was the big boy Maru was just eyeing. He turned in his form and returned to his spot. Yay, well! She seemed excited. Just looking at the girl made Maru cheerier. What an energetic person she was. What about the 2 of you? Maru turned to Dojin and Damyong with the question. The form in Damyong's hand was coupled with a determined look. Dojin seemed to have made up his mind as well. The 3 of us will be joining as well. Maru handed 3 forms to Yoonjung. The girl's head nodded vigorously in response. Thank you very much, she responded. No need for thanks, really. Maru turned to look at the other 2 girls. They talked amongst each other for a quick moment before filling out the forms right on the spot. Here you go. With that, there were 6 first years joining the club. We're accepting members till tomorrow, so do try to bring more people if you can. Also, well, be acting a lot more casual with you starting tomorrow, so don't be surprised. The group separated with Damas' announcement. Maru headed for the restaurant next to school. Dojin was going to treat them in celebration. Isn't Danmi really pretty? Dojin said. It was the first thing out of his mouth as soon as they got their food. I vote Yoonjung. Ah, the other first years were cute too, Daemyung responded, fitting kimbap into his mouth. And here I thought you were a big old pussy. You're quite the perv, aren't you? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. My ass, hey? It's normal for guys to like girls. Right, Maru? Maru nodded. He was thinking the acting club there were a few points of concern. Firstly, the fact that there were no 3rd years at all. There were bound to be a few, considering how many there were in the 2002 photo book from last year, but none at all. Something must have happened. The 2nd years seemed like they were hiding from them. It made sense thinking back on the faces they made in the club room as well. They didn't just seem sad about having first years leave. Why were there no 3rd years? By the way, Dojin seemed fairly curious about it as well. Damyong started, thinking with the other boy. Do you know who the advising teacher is? Maru asked. Dojin was the type of person who hobbied in collecting information around school. Maybe he'd know. Of course I do. He's the guy that teaches us history. Park Taesik. That guy, Yape. Good guy. Pretty boring though. Maru had a pretty good impression of the history teacher as well. The man was a little boring, but he often told old stories to the students. Just as Dojin stood up to order some more food, someone entered the restaurant. Not very handsome though, Maru added to his mental notes. It was the history teacher who walked in. Taesik waved at the 3 students inside the restaurant. What are you 3 doing? It's late, he said. We're just building our friendship. Teacher Dojin responded with a joking look. It's been 13 years since he started teaching. In that time, Taesik made a promise to himself to memorize every one of his students' names, so that he wouldn't have to resort to, hey you, every time he needed to call out a student. Instead, he'd refer to them by their name. Thanks to this, Taesik knew the names of most students he taught. Though he still didn't know the names of a few of them, it's only been a week. After all, that kid with small eyes in the back was one of them. He didn't quite know the boy's name yet. Daesik, was it? Ugh, so sorry. I haven't memorized your name yet. Loud kids like Dojin were easy to remember for sure. The quieter ones made memorizing their names pretty hard, though. And that's Maru over there. Han Maru, the kid from electrical engineering with a weird name. The boy was pretty well known among the faculty. That kind of a name just kind of sticks in your head. It's unusual, after all. Having fun with friends is fine, but you should eat actual food too. Not snacks like this, he advised. No worries, sir. I'll go on over home and smack down a bowl of rice. Good to hear. You're still growing, so eat a lot. Taesik asked the lady to pack him some tteokbokki, sundae, and some fried vegetables. He recalled seeing the club students working hard to clean out the club room when he finished work. They looked like they were going to be stuck cleaning for a while, so he decided to buy some snacks for them. Teacher, I have a question. Taesik turned back to look at the noise. It was Maru. The boy with a square jaw and confident eyes. Looking at Maru made him think that the boy must have a very strict father back home. You couldn't really find any of the playfulness you'd find in abundance in the other students. The other members of the faculty agreed with Taesik as well, especially the boy's homeroom teacher. The homeroom teacher thought Maru was very mature. Sure, what is it? We entered the acting club today. Ah, so you're the 3 out of the new 6, huh? Taesik bought another serving of fried vegetables to give to the three. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Dajin and Damyeon started digging in pretty much instantly. Maru was more fixated on the question, though. So what are you curious about then? There were only 4 second years when we went today. We didn't see any third years. Taptik smiled bitterly. Inside, the boy just came straight at him with the hardest question from the get-go. Well, it was understandable. Why wouldn't he be curious about it? Did something happen? The second year seemed to be hiding something as well. The other two started paying attention as well. They didn't seem to have noticed until now. What a perceptive lad, this Maru kid. He's caught on to what was going on in the club before anyone else. He was different from the others for sure. Something did happen. Is that so? Maru finished off right there and started digging into the food as well. Well, that's confusing. Wasn't he curious about what happened? Why there weren't third years, and why the second years were making that face? Why wasn't he asking? Wasn't he curious? Are you curious? Taesik asked. I'm curious. Can you tell us Dajin and Damyeong were the ones to answer in his stead? Maru just shook his head from the back, though I'll hear it from the second years. I think that would be more appropriate, he said. Right, sure. It'd be better to hear it from them. Taesik stood up after hearing the lady call at him. Maru stood up with him. The other two looked at him for a split second before standing up as well. Man, the boy resembled a junior employee at a company or something, knowing exactly how to act to avoid getting on the teacher's bad side and all. The fathers taught him well. He's not going to give anyone a bad first impression at the very least. Taesik walked out with the three boys bowing at him as a farewell. Come to think of it, he walked back over to the restaurant. The lady asked him from the window if he forgot something inside. Nope. But could I pay for their food as well? How much is it? 6,000 won. All right. Here it is, right then. His eyes met with Maris from inside the building. Maru bowed his head as a greeting, making Taesik smile in response. Eat well, club juniors. Hell yeah. Managed to save a ton of cash money. Dojing waved his hands in the air in joy. He and Damyeong seemed to live in the same direction. Seeing how they were walking home together, they spoke a bit with each other on the way. There really was no better way for kids to become friends than to hang out together. Maru watched the two walk away before heading back home himself on his own bike. The first thing he did after going back home was to finish off his homework. His mother looked at him with a little grin, muttering, "Hez matured finally," under her breath. "I might be late on Saturday, Mom. Why, I joined a club, the acting club. Really don't do it if it takes too much time. It's fine. I'll call you if I'm late. Ugh, like father, like son. You just don't listen to your mother, do you? By the way, Maru, do you need more allowance? Still have enough. That's new wearing to you. Saving up for a new pair of shoes." Mom took out a 10. One bill from her wallet. Take this. Use it when you need it. Just keep it. I don't need all that money. Did something happen to you? Told you I've matured? Just give the money to Bada. She'll need it more than me. Maru pushed his mother lightly back out of his room and closed the door. If he wanted to live a leisurely life, he needed to study up first. Of course, it wasn't like he was going to try to succeed in academics. Has learned the hard way last time that studying just wasn't for him. But I don't want to live my life restricted because of grades. He didn't understand adults when he was younger. Why would he need math in life? What would he even use physics for? Of course, he's learned that he didn't really need those subjects to get by, but has also learned that understanding the subjects provided him with various choices. Studying, to Maru, was just a way to give himself more options in life. But, it didn't really work out as he first intended. This is annoyingly hard. Maru decided to put the pen down for now. See you tomorrow. After parting with her friends, Bada bought herself a snack in front of the house and hid it in her bag. Not this time. She thought her older brother had a keen sense. For whenever a person was eating snacks, he used to be so nice back when she was in elementary school afterwards. He's become incredibly strange since she entered middle school, though, especially after that computer in the living room went into his room. They fought over it almost daily. As a matter of fact, they had such a big fight right before the start of school that she just didn't even go to his room as a result. Fine, I won't use the computer, you greedy idiot. But I want to decorate my silent profile. The one who got the short end of the stick was Bada. Looking at her friends decorate their avatars so elegantly made her want to do it too. Especially at times when her friends were showing off their profile. It felt like she could do it better. That was why she got the snacks to begin with. Maybe she could use the computer with this as a bribe. The first thing she did after coming back home was to knock on Maru's door. Big brother, normally she would just refer to him with a, "Hey!" The door opened. She had expected him to be on the computer as always, but surprisingly enough, he was looking at a few books on the floor. They weren't even comic books either. "What's up?" Maru asked. "No, well, can I use the computer?" Just as she was about to hand him the bribe. "Use it what? Just like that?" Bada looked up at Maru with a confused look. "Use it? Really? What? You think I'd joke about something like this? Did you have dinner, by the way?" "Not yet. Have some food first. Mom made kimchi jjigae. But Mom isn't here. Ah, she's visiting the neighbors. Give me a second." Bada turned around as Maru left the room to keep the snack hidden behind her back. Maru walked into the kitchen. Soon, Bada could hear dishes clanking against each other, and the stove being turned on. She peeped over to see what was going on. "You're making me dinner. You're not going to eat otherwise. You can have that bag of chips after your meal. Rice won't be as tasty if you have chips beforehand." Maru was setting the table with rice, soup, and a few side dishes for her. What was up with him? This never happened. Hanmaru was the type of person to steal all your food, if given the chance. Bada sat down on the table with a confused look. "Put the dishes in the sink after you finish. I'll do the dishes." Maru headed to the living room and turned the television on. Was he really letting her use the computer? Well then, she had no time to waste, did she? Bada devoured the food in front of her as quickly as possible. She couldn't have her older brother changing his mind in the meantime. When she finished up, she noticed Maru getting up to do the dishes. What the heck, looking at him being nice was just bizarre. Bada scanned her brother with narrowed eyes. Did he break something of hers? She stepped into her room to check. Nope, nothing. What was wrong with him? When she stepped out, Maru handed her a plate of cut apples. "Here, dessert." "Ah, Oak. Don't play for too long. Do your homework as well." Oak. This was so weird. Why was Maru acting like a dad all of a sudden? His pose as he watched the television? All the way to how he was just looking at the news, Maru seemed more like Dad than Dad himself. What the hell, it'd be way less weird if he just told her. Nope, computer's mine, fatty like usual. Bada went into Maris's room with a strange sense of discomfort. "Maris being weird," Bada commented. "What do you mean? He gave me dinner, got me dessert, and he let me use the computer." Bada was talking to her mother after she returned home. It was really strange today. Her brother had to be up to something. There was no way he'd do stuff like that otherwise. "Has just matured. Why don't you do the same for a change?" "Liar. He did something, didn't he? Tell me." "Of course not." Mom took out 1 bill from the wallet. Bada's frown instantly turned into a smile when she saw the money allowance. "Yup, allowance. What's up, Mom?" "You told me to wait when I asked for some yesterday." Bada shook her mom's hand with joy. She could take sticker photos with her friends using this money. Her old photos were starting to peel off from the back of her phone, so it was high time she needed to update them. "Maru told me to give it to you, eh?" "Him." "Yup," Bada thought to herself, as she stared down at the money in her hand. Did this guy finally go insane? Saturday today was the day they'd get to choose their clubs. The class was getting rowdy, with all the students trying to make their last-minute decisions. Yo, the board game club is the best. Tons of girls. Ha, girls. Why look at girls when you can have fun? Let's go to the program research club. They just gaming peachy bangs. I gave up on the dance club. Good lord, they practice so much. I don't know about that club, man. The kids were trading information to find the best club. Today's menu is fish katsu with fish soup. Ha, so much fish, Tojin sighed. I'll take it if you don't want it. Buzz off. You want some peanut candy? Sure. Like always, Maru started his day of school with a candy from Dojing. Even Dame Young from the front of the class moved back to talk with them. Yo, Dame Young, you want candy too? Oh sure, thanks. Dame Young received the candy with a smile. The two seemed a bit closer now. As it turned out, Dame Young was the type of person to smile a lot. He was still pretty sensitive to a lot of things, but time would fix all of that. Good thing I decided to talk to him back then, Maru thought to himself. It was a small act of kindness. It wasn't that hard, thanks to that little gesture. Though Dame Young found his laughter again. Dame Young, come, check out what I got in the game last night. One of the kids entered the class with a shout. Half the kids in class were talking about World Crash. I got it too. I got nothing. Lots of X though. Its red timer was just perfect, so I just skipped dinner and hunted all night. Hey Dame Young, can I ask you about a different X farm? Dame Young told the other kids that he'd talked to them during lunch. Whenever the kids talked about video games, Daemyeon was always at the center. His awkward self on the first day was nowhere to be seen. This was what Daemyeon was like from the start. Good thing I talked to him, Maru thought. Maru didn't think of himself as a person who was going to do anything amazing. He just wanted to have a leisurely school life, then fight his way up the ladder of society, find his wife again, and become a normal father. Having some fun in the process was just an added bonus. He could remember the voice of the old lady in his head. Fun doesn't necessitate a risky adventure. He just wanted a life that was a tiny bit more leisurely than before. That much was enough. Any more than that would be greedy, and greed is a factor in one's downfall. He put on earphones and closed his eyes, listening to music until the start of class. Didn't seem like a bad idea. Tang Duok glanced at the guys talking in front of him. Annoying, he found himself thinking. The guy he'd been planning on toying with has found himself a friend group to be with. It was Park Daemyeon. The kid was a total servant in the making, but Hez turned pretty social now. God damn it! He needed to find someone else to do his homework now that his original targets changed. His eyes met with Dojin's as he was scanning the classroom. The hell are you looking at? Dojin taunted. Ha! That's funny. That guy really doesn't know how to stay under the radar. What? I can't glance at things with my own eyes. Look somewhere else. I don't like being stared at by people like you. Ha! Look at you. Trying to act cool. Stare elsewhere. No. He'll just look away for you. Dojin turned away with a click of his tongue. Dawook wanted to slap the idiot's head, but he decided to be the bigger man. He didn't want to fight over something like this plus. With all the insane teachers at this school, fighting definitely wasn't worth it. There was a story Hez heard from a senior. One of the Ellen kids and the Meech kids got in a fight once, but after they were completely silent after being dragged off to the auditorium, apparently the teacher had beat both of them to a pulp with a pibrishi pipe that pretty much turned Dawook away from fighting for good. Even the homeroom teacher doesn't seem normal at all. He didn't come to an engineering school to push his life into the dumpster. He was planning on going to college. He tried to straighten himself up a little and started studying a little bit. He had no plans of causing any big trouble until he graduated. I need a servant for that, though. He couldn't just study for 3 straight years, though. That was insane. He needed a bestie to help him get by. Yo, Dawook, want to smoke a cig? Dawook raised his head. People who were kind of like him. One of them pulled out a Korean brand of cigarettes, just enough for him to see it. Damn it, you have no taste at all, he found himself muttering. Fud off. You want one or not? Of course I do. Where are we going, though? One of the seniors told me that the auditorium on the 5th floor is open today. We can smoke from the window there. Oh, sounds nice. Lego, you got a lighter on you? Course I do. Dawook stood up at the other kids. The fish katsu was a heavy meal for his stomach anyway. Having a smoke would make him feel better, but right as he walked past the door, the pack of cigs fell from Dawook's hands. It bounced off the floor and landed right next to the guy listening to music. The guy reached down and grabbed the pack. Dawook remembered him. Maru. One of the guys Hez never talked to, but was annoying regardless. The dude felt like one of those kids, you know, the type that tried to look like a goody two-shoes in front of the teachers. But why would you do something that's bad for your health? Was about the only thing that came out of his mouth when he returned it. He closed his eyes again to focus on the music again afterwards. Well, that was surprising. Dawook thought for sure that the guy was going to snitch. Then maybe you want to smoke too, he tried asking. Sorry, I've quit smoking for a long time. What? It's nothing, you guys should stop too, though you'll regret it, I swear. Especially with your daughter, the MPP. It's nothing, daughter. What daughter? What the hell was this guy saying, dude? Let's go. We don't want class to start before we smoke. His friends were hurrying him from the back. Dawook looked at the clock. 15 minutes before 1 o'clock, let's go, he said. God, I hate even looking at the guy, Dojin complained. Maru looked at him quietly. From an outsider's perspective, Dojin and Dawook looked like they'd get along very well. They both looked like delinquents. Dojin already explained about his delinquency in middle school, but at one point his actions started to embarrass him. Has regretted it quite a bit. Is that so, Mr. Retired Delinquent? Dude, buzz off. I've been off that train for a while now. I'm a good guy. Why'd you get off, by the way, me? Because it was embarrassing. No. I mean, why did you think it was embarrassing? There was a guy I used to bully. Hey, I'm friends with that guy now, so quit staring at me like that anyway. has told me during the second grade of middle school that what I was doing was really immature. He was the type that kept his cool even as he was getting bullied. That's when I started thinking, what if I was in that guy's position? I wouldn't even be half as confident as him. I stopped right on that day. My actions started to feel childish since then. Sounds like a great guy, he really was. And the thing is, the dude was amazingly good at studying. Damn it. I should have studied when he told me to. I just spent my time smoking cigarettes trying to look cool, while, damn it, this is so embarrassing. Dojing finished his story with a smile. Friends often influenced each other greatly. Maru took a look at Damyong. High school was a time when kids finally entered that border between maturity and immaturity. In that sense, friends were more important than family during this time. A single word from a friend could change your entire life. Damyong smiled back at him. Ah, this was good. Living life again. Maybe it's not just me living once again. It's us living once again. A good person. Thinking of that word made him smile. The hell you smiling for? He heard Dojin say. Yoonjung looked at the door of the club room with excitement. Oh my gosh, we're finally getting juniors. I'm so nervous. Stay still, would you? Dammy said, but Yoonjung knew better than anyone that Dammy was just as nervous as her. Look, the girl's legs were trembling already. 12 people, not as much as we need, but still really good. We can have plays with more than 10 people. If we can, I bet there are a few kids who will volunteer to be stage managers. You have to think about that too, Jonghyuk butted in. Yoonjung stuck out her lips in annoyance. Jongmyu concerned himself with reality too much. Always had to be the logical one of the group. Not that it wasn't useful. Come on, have some hope. They might all want to be actors, Yoonjung said. Yeah, that'd be nice, Jonghyuk's response was voiced as he moved the chamber pot to the corner. It was something the club used 6 years ago. Speaking of which, I wonder if the costumes we use now would one day be treated like dirt by our juniors. It probably will. That sucks. Hey, we still got 2 years until we graduate. Yoonjung booed Jonghyuk from the back as she said this. It was a habit she had from a young age. All the adults told her to stop making such crude noises with her mouth, but she was never able to get rid of the habit. They're coming soon, Dammy said, looking at her wristwatch. Yoonjung looked at the door impatiently. 10 minutes left. 10 minutes until the first years come. You open it. Nah, no. You scared, bro. No, that's not it. But just open it. Then why don't you open it? Maru stepped forward after watching his friends argue with each other for a second. He grabbed the door handle. The grip, coated with stainless steel, was worn down from years of use. When he turned it, the door opened with a creak. Almost everyone's here, let's begin. The voice belonged to Minsung, the acorn heads. The second years isolated themselves on the left side of the room. Maru headed over to the group of the first years. For now, welcome. I'll be a bit more upfront now that you're all club members now. There's something we need to do first. Everyone, look behind you. The first years turned around. There was a whiteboard Maru hadn't seen before. On the top were the names of the second years. Yoonjung Lee in particular was written in blue, with the word Club Praise right next to it. Please write your names, one by one, there. Along with your majors, Minsung, continued the big guy, who seemed pretty quiet, was the first to move. He took the cap of the marker off and started writing. The 2 girls wrote their names as well, afterwards. Jun Sok Hong, Yeom Lee, Soyoung Kim. The 3 of them were all in design. Soyeon threw her marker at Maru, urging he and his friends to follow suit. Maru? He heard one of them say behind him. He was used to the reaction even after graduating. People were often surprised by his name when he met new people. It used to give him stress when he was young, but he looked at his name more positively when he grew older. Having a memorable name in life was a massive plus. We introduced ourselves yesterday, so we won't do it again. You'll realize that none of us are that bad as seniors or anything, so let's have fun together. Okay, of course. Well, still point out things you do wrong. We aren't here to just have fun. Jonghyuk's words lowered the mood of the room considerably. Yo dude, why do you have to make everything sound so scary? Let's just hear those introductions from our juniors. Minsung clapped and pointed at Jinsuk from one end of the line of the first years. You're tall? Pretty big too. Name is Hong Junok. Right, you go first. Name, reason for coming here, and your goals. You can say more if you'd like. Minsung sat down with a smile. Hello, I'm a first year in design. Hong Junzo. I came to this school because I wanted to come to this club. I'd like to perform a great play in the future with all of you. My first goal is to perform a play in the Seoul Arts Center. Junzuk spoke with a firm tone, almost as if he were assured everything he mentioned would be realized. Instead of arrogance, Maru could feel confidence from the boy's voice. What a guy, he looked different from the start. To think he had dreams like that. Hold up. Gunzuk, you came to an engineering school because of the acting club? Yes. For real now? Yes. Why other schools have acting clubs too? I wanted to experience the acting club my brother was in. Brother? Yes. Yoonjun thought for a second before heading off to the cabinet. The photo books in it contained all of the clubs. History, I have to ask, who was he? She seemed to be the type that just couldn't hold back her curiosity. She actually seemed visibly more excited than before. More lively. That's the word, lively. He's Hong Gun-soo. From the first generation of the club. I knew it. The club became lively at the name. It was understandable. Hell, even Maru knew the name. He was the guy who performed monologues in the Marinier Park, and was in turn scouted by a movie director. Even in his first role, he got decent reviews, and even managed to get an award for it. He primarily worked with musicals afterwards. Amazing guy. He could remember the time when he quit his old job to become a bus driver. Hong Jun-soo's movie hit more than 12 million admissions. He specifically remembered thinking, wow, that guy's an amazing actor while he was driving. I saw him in Daehakro a while back. He was performing in the streets, right? I heard he was going to be in a movie by an independent director. Really? Wow, a family of actors, huh? The second years made faces of anticipation. Even the girls next to Gunzuk were glancing at him excitedly. Ah, there goes the main role, Dojin muttered to himself. Daemyeong was looking at Junsuk with an envious face. The club room became pretty energetic. This was pretty good, Maru thought. At least the boy would know a lot about acting. They should be able to do pretty well as long as Jinzok is willing to teach them a bit. Right then, the door opened to let in 2 more people. I'm so sorry. Sorry. A boy and a girl jumped into a scene. Maru let out a small "oh" of surprise. The boy was pretty handsome, and the girl had big, beautiful eyes on her. Both of them looked mature, they looked nice. The second years welcomed them with an applause. No worries. Ah, you guys haven't seen them before, have you? They submitted their forms just yesterday. Well now, that you're here, why don't you introduce yourselves? The boy bowed curtly at the group. Nice to meet you. I'm Park Tae-hoon, first year in electrical engineering. Hello, I'm Kim Izul, first year in computers. Min Song pointed at the board, gesturing the 2 to write their names. Daemyeong gave them the markers. Thanks. Isul took the marker from Daemyeong with a smile, who turned back with an embarrassed look. By the time the 2 wrote their name, the whiteboard was full of names. Step forward, Miss President. Yoonjung stepped out with a little cough. The 12 of us will work for a year in this club now. It'll be hard, but let's make sure to create a decent play during this time. Well, be talking about basic stuff about the club during this time. Well, also exchange contact info. Ah, by the way, dating is forbidden in the club. Got it? Yoonjung said with a wink. Maru saw Dojin's face completely fall apart right then and there. That was a lie. Dating is welcomed as long as you aren't endangering the club. But if something bad does happen, well, you should know, right? Yoonjung started laughing with an evil look. What a strange character she was. Dammi stood up and grabbed the girl's shoulders roughly. Why can't you act more like a senior what? Ugh. Dammi stepped forward and took out her phone. Anyone who doesn't have a phone here? No one stepped up. Good. Take them out then. The first yous all took out their phones. Flip phones, sliding phones, what have you. Maru took out his phone as well. We'll give our phone numbers, so be sure to save it. The club would gather at random times every once in a while, especially when the opening night of the play comes near. Understood. Yes. All right then. Yoonjung first. The second year said their names and phone numbers one by one. Now then, starting from Genzuk, say your name and phone numbers as well. Be sure to save it too. Well, I'll have to be friends from now on, if we're going to get together for a full year, Dammi said. Junzuk started speaking pretty much immediately. His voice had depth to it. The type that just stuck to your ears like glue. Was this what talent entails for an actor? Eventually, they managed to finish off at Isul. Well, now that that's over, why don't we just talk for a bit? Tell us about your life or something. Hold on, I'll go get some snacks at a market. I'll go, Dojin shouted. Dammi waved him off with a smile. You're good. We'll be making you do plenty of work in the future. Just enjoy yourselves for now. All right. Dammy walked out with Yoonjung. The door closed shut with a creak. And now then, juniors? Minsung's expression changed completely. The boy picked up a PVC pipe with a menacing look, silencing the room. Called it. Maru thought it was almost weird that the seniors weren't trying to put them in their place. They'll tell you this now, but we really do want to get along with you. I love smiling. Alright, but sometimes other things are needed too. He banged the PVC pipe on the wall, making the other kids flinch. This isn't just for show, alright? It'll hit people, regardless of gender. The first years looked at each other in fear. Except Maru. He was realizing more than ever before how important experience was. This was child's play, compared to being threatened in an actual company. It was pretty cute, actually. He could feel how much the boy cared for the club. The boy clearly didn't grab that pipe to feel power, actually. Maru could see the boy's hands trembling just a little bit. Probably his first time grabbing it after learning it from his seniors. Maru turned to look at Jung Hyuk, who was also trying to look as calm as possible. It was easy to tell how nervous he was, though you get it. Minsung said, "Yes, good." Minsung threw away the pipe. He looked a little more relieved, now seriously. "Let's have a good time from now on. This is a good club. Well, make lots of great memories here, depending on how hard you work. I'll be hard at work with Jung Hyuk as a part of the staff, so we won't spend as much time with you. But the female seniors will, so treat them well, all right?" Yes, he was being honest. Maru could easily see how much Minsung cared for the club. The frowns on the first years slowly started to go away as they realized the same thing. Yoonjung's pretty strange though, you'll just have to get used to that. P50, Jung Hyuk ended up letting out a small laugh from the back. The first years weren't able to laugh though. Well, all except one. Hey, Maru let out. He looked away when he noticed so many people looking at him. Maru, I like you. People should smile. Minsun slapped Maru's shoulder lightly, with a smile. This was probably what he was like from the start. Has just not fit for intimidating people with a pipe in hand, if something bad really does happen. Maru looked at Jung Hyuk. That guy would most likely be the one to swing that pipe. We're here. Yoonjung and Danmi entered the club room, diffusing the awkward air completely. Sweet soda and delicious chips replaced it, bringing about a pretty happy ending to their first meeting. He bought the ticket during his college years and sat down with his friends at a small theater. The plot appeared complicated when he was watching it, but it turned out to be rather simple. The alcoholic father wasn't actually an alcoholic, and the mother who always shouted was actually a big coward. The son who always swore in the house was actually a gentle soul who volunteered, and the daughter who always said she hated her family actually loved her family. The play ended with the family all coming to a mutual understanding with each other, being able to see each and every expression, breathing, and beads of sweat from all the actors came as a pretty big shock to Maru at the time. After that day, Mars watched plays pretty frequently. The reason why he decided to be a road manager to begin with was because he liked plays. Plays, huh, he said, looking down at his desk. There was a time when he wanted to become an actor. For a very short while, has admired actors on the stage very much. They looked like they were content with their lives. To Maru, who was struggling to find jobs at the time, they couldn't have looked cooler. Of course, he gave up upon realization the lives they led off the stage. "Hey you," Dojin said. It was right before the start of the fourth class, the class before lunch. "You look really absent-minded sometimes." "It's not that I look absent-minded. I am absent-minded. I'm sleepy." "No, tell me for real now." Did you a word bubble popped up above Dojin's head, making Maru smile a little in surprise? "The hell are you laughing for?" "Because I masturbated." "Why do you ask?" What Dojin frowned in confusion. "By the way, did you get the message?" Maru changed the topic. Thank goodness. Dojin wasn't the inquisitive type about us getting together after school. "Yeah, of course I did. Why are we getting together though?" "Who knows?" Maru thought about it some more during the class, but he didn't really get an answer. Eventually the class ended, and the announcement for first years to go to the cafeteria played. They were running down the corridors as if a war broke out. "Damn, look at them run, Dojin," said he, and Maru were the only ones left in class. Eating slowly became a habit for them. There was one more person, actually. Damyong slowly crept up to join them. "Ah, I'm kind of scared," Damyong said unexpectedly. "What for?" Dojin asked. "I'm worried about what the seniors might do." "You worry too much." "But you saw before, didn't you, that pipe? That was pretty scary. Do you think that really hit us?" No way. Maru butted into the conversation. Junghyuk might hit us for real though. That doesn't sound surprising. Dojin and Daemyeong nodded in agreement. I asked a third year about the acting club a few days ago, right? Dojin said, motioning the other two closer. Apparently something happened last winter. That's why all the third years and most of the second years left? Really? What kind of an accident? Did they fight? I don't know the specifics. The senior didn't know much about it either. Accident. Huh. Maru thought of a few of the possibilities. First, there was some trouble caused by two students dating, but this school didn't care much about romance. Even the teachers mentioned students dating each other every once in a while. Dating was fine as long as it didn't affect grades. Even Yoonjung was fine with it, unless if there was trouble with dating in the club. Then a fight, maybe, or an incident might have happened. Should we ask? When it's time, might be better not to, the three of them said as they looked out the window. You're all here. The club didn't meet in the club room on the 4th floor, but in the auditorium on the 5th there were costumes and props strewn all over the place. The club room would become incredibly cramped if the props all went into the room, Maru realized. The club room wasn't as big as he thought it was. With those props back in there, it might not even be able to fit all 12 of them. You can tell why we called you here. Right, Tada? Yoonjung pointed at the costumes with an excited look, to which Junjuk responded with a question. Are we moving all of these to the club room? Yes, but we're going to have to sort them out first. They piled up since we never threw away any of the props. They're all precious, but we'll have to get rid of stuff we don't need. Yoonjung spoke in a sad voice. She wanted to keep all of them. How do we need to sort them? Maru asked. Well, if you feel like you need it, put it on the left. If you feel like you want, put it on the right. There was a short moment of silence. Man, Yoonjung, you aren't very motivated about this at all, are you? Probably got forced to do it by someone else, and that someone else probably was just sorted according to how damaged it is. If clothes have big patches on them, put it on the right. For props, put it on the right. If it's too damaged to use, got it? Jonghyuk said. Knew it. Had to be that guy. Of course old things would get damaged, but they all have memories. If we throw them away, Yoonjung stepped forward only to be ignored by Jonghyuk. He felt vastly different compared to his anxious self from when he introduced the club. This was probably what he was usually like. Well, hey, let's not throw that away, please. Some of them looked the same no matter in what context, especially Yoonjung with her traditional dress in hand. Jonghyuk was absolutely merciless. Though the dress flew away to the right, it was understandable. The thing was almost reduced to little scraps of fabric. Boo! Yoonjung pouted right from the back. Junghyuk sighed in embarrassment before turning to the first years. Don't pay attention to the president. If you're not unsure, put it in the middle. Well, take care of those. He was pretty efficient about it. The type of student that teachers would like. Now then, let's finish this quickly and go home. The first years got to work. Maru and his friends decided to stick with the props. For now, there were stuff from scissors, spoons, and even some mysterious iron sticks in the pile. Just massive amounts of iron that you could sell for quite a profit to the waste collectors. Oh lord. There's a lot, Dojin said. Even Damyeong pulled out a fireplace. Scraper going, hey, I saw this at Grandma's place. Just what kind of plays were they doing? There were phones and even various armbands as well. How old were these props? It kind of made sense that Yoonjung wouldn't want to throw any of these props away. Even Maru could feel the memories in each of them. Maru turned back. He could see Jonghyuk looking at the pile in the middle hesitantly. He was pretty reluctant, too, from the looks of it. He looked at a particular drawing for a while before putting it to the left. Oh yeah, Yoonjung jumped up in joy. Cute. She looked so pure and innocent. Hey, Maru? You're a high schooler, too. Come on, man. His perspective kept switching over to his 45-year-old self. That wouldn't do. He couldn't look at these people with the perspective of an adult. He needed to be a high schooler. Just like them. Good work. Here, get some food in yourselves. Minsung and Danmi walked into the room with a few choco pies and drinks. Taesik, the advising teacher, walked in as well. Work hard. Don't stay too late though, alright. If it does take too long, just call me. I'll tell security. The teacher disappeared promptly. It looked like he was the one who bought the snacks as well. Speaking of which, there was a question Maru had intended to ask. He turned to Danmi. I heard the teacher was the one who made the club. Ah, yeah, that's right. He gathered people to start the club in the beginning. He came up with the name Blue Sky as well. He's kind of like our super senior, I see. He's a good person. Danmi offered him some more soda, which Maru received with a bow. After a short break of eating, the club got back to work. Senior. Someone raised their hands from the costume section. It was the chubby girl. She had a troubled look on her face. Kim Soyeon, was it? Yurim? The girl with the brown hair next to Soyeon wore the same look on her face as well. Maru stood up to take a look. He could see the seniors make their way over, their faces turning similarly troubled. Who the hell did this? Yoonjung ended up shouting. Maru could visibly see a vein pop up on her forehead. He made the way over, as well along with the other first years. There was a line of costumes on the floor, all pretty clean. Wait. There was a small black spot in every one of them. Maru lowered his head a bit to look closer at it. It's cigarettes. Dodging, said the club, turned to him with a questioning look. Here. And here dodging must be right. I think someone burned a hole with cigarettes in each one of them. Jonghyuk took one of the costumes and smelled it carefully. I can smell it. It's pretty faint, though the second years only looked more distraught by this. Maru thought of the date for a second. It was Monday. Has heard that the seniors moved all this on Friday. Were the costumes like this on Friday by any chance? He asked. Of course not. They were all fine. These two dresses were in pristine condition since they were so expensive. So it happened sometime from Saturday till now. Can't be. Jonghyuk shook his head. We locked the doors of the auditorium right after Saturday. I unlocked it myself just now, so it happened from Friday to Saturday. That's right. There's no way. Teachers would smoke here, so it has to be students. Probably third years. Right then, Maru got a small flashback. He remembered seeing Dawook and his friends walk out together with cigarettes in hand. Were they talking about the auditorium at the time? Jonghyuk seemed to have noticed a change in Maru's complexion. Do you know something? Maru shook his head. He didn't want to point fingers just yet. No. I was just thinking about who might have done something like this. Don't tell others about this just yet. Okay, the acting club's reputation has already taken a hit from the past. This would hurt us more than it would help if we told others about this, so just keep it a secret for now. Jonghyuk organized the situation pretty fast. Why wasn't this guy the president again? Well, put the costumes with the holes over here. We can just fix them. Let's get back to work, guys. We have to finish this. Yes. The auditorium was filled with sounds of props being moved again.